O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your InterMiami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where InterMiami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
And welcome aboard on a Friday, a beautiful Friday, a very happy Friday, an exhilarating Friday after a smoking Thursday. It's been amazing, amazing, amazing. So you all made it to the end of the week, and we on this show are. I got to tell you, I'm flattered, I'm floored, I'm shocked. The response. I've been telling you guys every day that the download numbers have been going up every single day. And yesterday it went to and this is the slowest sports week of the year. Okay. I mean, there is less going on in sports overall, to talk about. And yet we had a record 21,256 downloads yesterday. That was just absolutely amazing. The more amazing part, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're at 11 a.m. The deadline for the day of downloads doesn't end until 8 p.m. We're already at 17,000. Okay. So thanks to all of you. You've got 38,000 downloads, and possibly we're going to get to about 50,000 downloads when it's all said and done today. We're probably going to shatter the record from yesterday at 21,200, which again, just, these are records broken during the draft because that's when our downloads increase, football season and then the off season. And it was the week of the East West Shrine game where we had the record, and it was a back-to-back day. We had several interviews with players and scouts and what's it called, agents and all that kind of stuff. And we had a really great week at the East West 2 years ago, before the pandemic, and that was where we set the records. But I understand that when it's football season, you know what I mean? I don't understand it now. It's weird. There's not a lot to talk about, but yet, we have, I think, provided some pretty good sports talk overall. We've been able to talk some Dolphins, and obviously we have some great insiders tied to the show now. I think we're trying to create the sports talk show in town now. But I got to thank you guys out there because those are numbers that no other local sports talk show even comes close to. Okay. Nothing on 790 or 560 comes close to that. So I appreciate all of you out there. That is just absolutely amazing. And then you're following it up with another incredible day. So let's keep it going. And you know what helps? When you're smashing that like button, when you're downloading and you're podcasting and you're watching on YouTube and you're sharing the link and all of those kind of things, that stuff that we're doing every day as a family is what's helping this show grow. That's why I tell you all the time, smashing the like button is so important for the algorithms of everything going on, and sharing the link and subscribing, all those kind of things, because that gets YouTube saying, okay, well, we got to spread it out to other people that want to hear about the Dolphins or the Panthers or the Heat or the Marlins or Inter or the Canes and that kind of stuff. So again, just I can't say enough about watching it explode yesterday. I mean, our download numbers were excellent since we restarted this thing. And yesterday was actually, I was wrong. I said the 14th, it was the 15th. Yesterday was actually an entire month already back on. And so thank you all out there. I really, I can't tell you enough what that means. So thank you all out there for your amazing, amazing support. Really, really appreciate it. Remember, of course, you can chime in on the YouTube chat board. You got any questions, comments, insults, compliments, whatever it is you want to send in on the YouTube chat board. Sometimes I go through it and I may be able to address your question and comment, because we actually connect with listeners here, unlike other shows in around the country, period, not just in town. It's just one of those things that they're doing. Of course, email bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. You can send me an email anytime you're listening to the podcast, middle of the night, Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is, whenever you're downloading the show. Thank you. You got a question, a comment, you disagree with something, maybe I made a mistake, which Lord knows I'll make 400 of them in every show. You can help me out with that. Twitter, Big O Show, as always. Follow us there. And of course, Cash App and Venmo. You can obviously support the show that way too. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. So many ways to participate and support the program, and we appreciate all of you out there. We only had one sporting event yesterday, right? I mean, that's crazy. Yesterday it was one sporting event, and it ends up getting canceled because of our friend COVID. 6 Yankees test positive, including Judge, who was at the All-Star game. So now they've got to test all the players on the American League side to see if anybody, I'm sure National League too, because he probably, maybe talked to some of the guys on the National League. And it kind of rears its ugly head, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen, that we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, look at the rest of the world. They're not as vaccinated as we are. And there's plenty of stuff going on, plenty of dead going on, plenty of people getting sick. And we have a rise now because we still have people that are not vaccinated. And while we have people in our country that are not vaccinated, they're going to allow it to fester more than anything else. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones that are going to get really sick, unfortunately. I mean, I saw where you not everybody is vaccinated at this point, because of course we have people politicizing this silly ass thing, which is just ridiculous to be doing that. And we're putting people at risk, or you're putting yourself at risk. You know what I mean? Those of us that are vaccinated, we're not at risk of dying or getting into a hospital. We're not. We might catch it, but we're not going to die. Now, those of you that are not vaccinated, you're at the risk of dying or getting hospitalized, which I don't want to see any of you do that. You know what I mean? But this shows you that we're still not out of the woods yet with all of this, that you still have to be careful. That's why, John was asking me the other day, are you still going to wear a mask? And I'm not going to wear a mask overall. If I can have a distance from people, I'm good. But like today, this morning, I got tickets for The Fix and The English Beat at the Culture Room. They went on sale at 10 o'clock, and we got the tickets, so I'm not going to miss my fix. And I love I love The English Beat anyways. Wakeman and company, they're terrific. So I'm looking forward to watching that. But my point is, when I get to the Culture Room, it's going to be packed. And I don't know who is vaccinated or not. So I'm going to have to wear a mask, because even though I'm vaccinated, I don't want to catch it. The last thing I want to do is catch it and give it to somebody else that doesn't have it. You know what I mean? So I will wear a mask. So we still have to be very careful. You still got to wash your hands several times. And if you go out and you're touching stuff, try not to touch your face. Remember that. That was a good thing about the mask too, that even when you touch stuff, you weren't able to scratch your face or anything like that, except maybe your eyes, but your nose and your mouth. And because you had the mask on, and that may keep you from, giving yourself the damn disease. You know what I mean? But yesterday, the postponement of that game was a reminder that we're still not out of the woods yet. We all still have to do our part and be responsible, because I don't want to lose any more Americans. You guys don't want to lose. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. We got people that are still dying from this thing, man. And it just, you get vaccinated, you keep your distance, you do the right things, and maybe we can abolish this thing and move on. You know what I'm saying? And we're lucky in this country compared to most countries around the world that they have very few people vaccinated. Here, at least, we're on the majority side of people getting vaccinated. We still have a large portion of people that aren't vaccinated, and they probably refuse to get vaccinated. But, we've gotten a little bit more back to normalcy thanks to the people that are vaccinated. But even those of us that are vaccinated, we still have to be incredibly careful in this process, because it is still what we call a pandemic. And, I don't think you want on yourself the burden that you might have given somebody, COVID, and then that person ends up in the hospital, or they end up dying. You know what I mean? It's just frustrating. But damn, dude, I saw that yesterday, and it was like it was last year all over again. I'm like, come on, man, I don't want this to happen again, and I don't want us to go back to that. That's just not fun, man, to go back to that. I wore my mask, and I kept my distance, and I stayed at home as much as possible, and I did my duty as an American. You know what I mean? I'd like to get past this, but in order for us to get past this, we all have got to come together and, vaccinate and follow the rules, and then maybe we can all get back to normal again. But as long as we have people not vaccinated, we're going to allow this thing to fester. and that's a shame. So yesterday that was, and I hope it doesn't affect, not that I give a shit about the Yankees. I don't care about the damn Yankees. I don't care about the Red Sox. I'm a Marlins fan, but I don't want it to affect the game. Oh, selfishly, I don't want it to affect my fantasy team. I did have one player playing in yesterday's game who did not end up playing, of course, did not get COVID either. So maybe there's some hope for him to move forward. But yeah, I don't want it to affect our sports, man. We got football right around the corner. God, we're waiting for this Dolphin season. I can't wait for this Dolphin season. I'm expecting a great Dolphins year. I don't want COVID to ruin our Dolphins year. You know what I'm saying? I wanna make sure that we get all our guys on the field and playing, and I want to see the best of the Miami Dolphins in 2021 because I'm so jacked for this Dolphins season. So let's uh let's hope for the best for sports. Let's hope for the best for our society, and let's see if we can tackle this thing, man, and move on from this damn COVID so we can, put it behind us, man. It would be really, really nice. Again, you got any comments? Send them in on the YouTube chat board. Let me see what we got here on the chat board already because it's kind of active. If I wait any longer, then the list is incredibly long. Matthew Walker was first in. Ender Fires Play YT says, Big O, it's South Florida's #1 sports news source, in my opinion, of course. Well, thank you, Ender. I appreciate that. GP Trap is good morning and reminding everybody to smash that like button. And GP Trap, that was a funny video you sent me on the DM there. Steve Chapman is logged in, baby. Dennis Akers, he's happy Friday, man. Ian from Brooklyn is in. Herman Cueva is in. John Rouse in the house. Lee Michael Morrison also reminds you to smash that like button. Very important. Very, very important. Let's see. King Short. Who else do we have here? Ohio John. Omar Lopez. NorCal says, good morning, Big O crew and chatters. Danny says, man, Big O, your YouTube pic of the old gal, the OB, brings back so much memories. Wish they could have rebuilt her and not torn her down for the spaceship they built. Yeah, Danny, yeah, you're right. But city of Miami, bro, they're just a freaking disaster. They never do anything right, man. Rosendo says, good morning. Happy Friday, Big O Nation. Forget about all the bad things, your troubles and the dramas over what brought you into your life. Enjoy today. Look forward to a weekend full of smiles. Amen. Amen. Looking forward to a good weekend. Hopefully InterMiami gets a win. Would be nice. Good morning, Big O from John Santos. Dolphin fans love listening to you. I'm sorry for being greedy. You have to give us at least 30 years plus Dolphins talk. Well, I'm at 31. I already did it. You want 30 more? I doubt that's in the tank. But we're going to try to keep this one going for a while now, okay? I think we've kind of learned our lesson in a way too. As much as I want to revive the Onside project, I don't need the hassles. I don't need the headaches, worrying about 10, 12 shows. And if I don't have the support staff next to me, then it's like I'm pissing into a fan. And that's kind of how I felt. And I don't need that kind of, stress. Here, not so much stress now, man. We're just worried about our show every single day. We put together a great list of guests. Hey, today, man. Today it's Omar Kelly at 11:30. We got Manny Navarro at 12:30 for the regular hits. And then Michelle Kaufman comes in at 1:00 to talk a little InterMiami. Obviously, they've got a couple new players. So we're going to hit all the big stories. We're going to talk all the big stories today. We got the best insiders every day here on the show, and it's growing. We're going to add more next week. So we're headed in the right direction here. And then the other thing is, and I've been telling you this now for a few weeks now, your response, your downloads, okay? I mean, I know that, while we're viewing, we're not a big crowd, but that's kind of what life is now. You don't have people watching live television a lot. You don't have people listening to live radio a lot. They go listen to their music whenever the hell they want. their talk shows. They go listen to them when they're, okay, I'm in my car now, I'm driving, I'm going to be in traffic for the next hour. Let me put this podcast, that podcast. That's what people do nowadays. And so you guys have spoken. You've spoken. The numbers that we put up on this podcast, we don't do it anywhere else. Nowhere. It's only here. All the other stops that I've had, it's never been this kind of response. And I had a better response here than I did at Onside. And then once Onside was folded and I came back to do this, now the response has been the biggest it's ever been, which is crazy. Football hasn't even started yet. So you guys have already told me, you've spoken. This is the format. This is the way I've got to do things. By the way, my wife also wants me to do it. She's like, she doesn't want me to try to start the Onside thing. Every time I've met with somebody about this, she's like, do you really have to do this? Like, she'd rather me just do this. And because she feels like life is a lot easier for me. Plus, she knows I have 5 stents in my heart and all that other. Plus, she's also known about the, all the stuff that's gone on behind the scenes that I really can't talk about. But, it's crazy. And you guys have spoken. And this is what we're going to do. And we're going to do this now. We're going to build this mother up for the next few years. And we're going to build this thing up to be unstoppable. And screw the rest, man. Screw the rest. By the way, next Wednesday, we'll be at Canesware at 2511 South University Drive. So we'll be on the road doing the show. Sean will be by my side out there at Canesware. So if you are free middays at 11 o'clock, we'll start the show there at Canesware. Come on out and join us, man. 2511 South University Drive. That'll be next Wednesday there at Canesware. So I would love to meet some of you out there. A lot of you sometimes tell me, hey, when are you going to do some live appearances? And the one thing that we've done on this podcast more than any station does is we have live appearances, and we're going to start adding more, down the line. There'll be a lot of studio, but we're going to have our share of trips out on the road to have some fun. Herman Cueva is in, says you're the best. Real sports talk show, no BS. Thank you, Herman. Appreciate that. Greg Wood. Greg is sporting the wood, he says. I don't quite get the argument you make that they are a 10-win team without X or Tunsil or Minka for that matter. At some point, we need to keep and add all pro players and become a great team. Greg, my point was, and I appreciate you, coming back here at me with the, but if you listen to what I was saying is they won 10 games without Minka and Laramie Tunsil. They replaced them. Javon Holland is now going to be the guy that replaces Minka. And Jackson is replacing Tunsil. That's my point. If you know how to draft and develop, then if X wants to be a pain in the ass, you trade him, and then the next guy has to come in and do the job. And whether it's Noah or you draft somebody else, so be it. It is what it is. But what you cannot have, okay, you cannot have players dictating what goes on with your team. The Dolphins, as I mentioned yesterday, they did their responsibility 2 years ago. His contract was up. They gave him a monster deal, the best paid corner in the NFL at that moment. 2 years later, I'm sorry, people get deals. It falls by the wayside. That happens to everybody that plays in this game, because that's you set a standard and then they beat it and they beat that and they beat that and they beat that, and that's the way it goes. But he's a petulant child now and he wants more money. So no, I'm sorry, dude. There's great players, and then there's great players that want to be great with you. So if you're just worried about yourself, Minka, if you're just worried about yourself, X, then so be it. Then you're gone, bro. Sam Madison wasn't that way, and Pat Surtain wasn't that way, and Jason Taylor wasn't that way, and Zach Thomas wasn't that way, and Tim Bowens wasn't that way. Those are the kind of guys I want on this team. The guys that aren't going to be, there's, like I said yesterday, it's something always with X. If it's not knee injuries, it's a domestic issue. Now it's a salary dispute. What's next, dude? So it just gets to a point where, bata, enough. It's over, bro. Move on. Trade his ass. No one player makes a team unless it's a freaking quarterback. Outside of that, everybody, okay, great general manager, great head coach, and great quarterback. Those are not replaceable. Every other position in the NFL, indispensable, baby. Indispensable. So that's at least that's how I want somebody to run the football team. I don't want people to be cowering down to the players and X is a fantastic player, but if he's all about himself, sorry, dude. Can't do it. And like I told you, maybe he's all about himself also because we're all thinking, "Oh, great player, we need him this and that," but he also knows that that knee of his is a ticking time bomb. And so maybe he just wants to get as much money as possible now. I'm sorry, man. If they don't give him a deal, I'm with them. Listen, I'm pretty consistent on this. Okay, mark my words here. Do I want to pay Jimmy Butler? No. Do I want to pay X more? No. Are they both great? Yeah. But you got to do what's best for your team, not what's best for the player. That's the bottom line. So giving X more money puts you more at risk because you still can you guarantee the knee's going to hold up? Right? You can't, right? You cannot guarantee me that that knee is going to hold up. Can you guarantee me he's never going to get in another domestic violence issue? Can you guarantee me that there's not going to be another problem coming up next? That's for me, that's what I can't live with if I'm the head coach, if I'm the general manager. Can't live with that. I think let's go back to the press conference. Go back to the initial press conference from Chris Greer. I believe he said, enough with the dysfunction, enough with the what was the other one that he said? Dysfunction or lack of organization or something. I forgot what it was. This is part of it, dude. This is part of it. And they're not going to have it. I don't care who you are, basically. So I wish X the best, but if I'm the Dolphins, there's no way in hell I'm guaranteeing more money for him. No way. And plus the other problem and we've mentioned it 100 times. You do this, you now have created the avenue for everybody else to rework their contracts at any effing time they want. You did it for X, why aren't you doing it for me? That's what they're going to say. That's what every agent's going to say. It's like the city of Miami right now. They're in an incredible bag of crap right now. Because DeSantis passed a law that you can't block streets and highways and all that, and you're allowing a protesting group to do it. And by the way, I'm completely against that. Completely against that. What if somebody is going to an important meeting? What if somebody's headed to an emergency and you're blocking the streets or the road? I said this while the BLM's going, and I'll say this now for the Cubans that are also protesting. I'm consistent about all this crap. To me, it has nothing to do with color, has nothing to do with nationality, has nothing to do with your sexuality. It has to do with right and wrong. Okay? And wrong is blocking a highway when you're not supposed to block a highway, when you may be stopping somebody else from getting somewhere. Can you imagine if you're headed to an emergency and you're stuck on the damn Palmetto because you got a bunch of people protesting? I'd be pissed, dude. I'd be incredibly pissed. What about if you're going to a meeting that is your career's on the line? No, I mean, I have no idea none of us have any idea what is going on in that traffic and where people are headed. And all of a sudden you just block it. So you got to set a precedent, right? And now you screwed it up if you're the city of Miami. Well, you're the Dolphins. You got to set a precedent here at this moment. You can't allow them to block your street. You got to tell X, yo, you want to protest? Go on the sidewalk. We're not going to allow you, X, to protest for more money on the highway. Okay? Whether you like the analogy or not, that's the analogy I came up with on the fly. But I'm sorry, it's kind of the same thing. You've got to avoid setting that precedent because now you're going to put yourself in a shitstorm. And the city of Miami now and DeSantis and everybody is in a shitstorm because of what they did, because it looks like a biased move. Okay? So here, You can't rework X's deal, and then the next person says, well, you reworked his, it's mine. You allowed him to block the street. Why can't I do it? Let's see. Congrats, Big O. Maybe it's a Rockin' Batman pop brought you fans it. Yes. That probably is it. It's probably the Rockin' Batman right there. That's it, baby. The Rockin' Batman kicks ass. Only you would think of getting me a Batman that's a Rockin' Batman. Like that, you couldn't even, you couldn't make it more perfect. Premier Reviewer is in, says, good morning. King Short almost won Tesla tickets today on Rock 92. Too bad it wasn't horseshoes. Horseshoes and hand grenades, right? That's the only time close counts, right? I got you, King Short. Big O, got to get the fixed tickets. There you go. Yeah, damn right. Chase 1 in, Devin Jordan in, Manuel Malo in, To Extreme, New York Sports, Mark Jones. Big O, your content and comments about X was rock solid. Rock solid. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. Can you imagine when the Dolphins start balling? Ha, love it, Big O. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're going to ball, man. They're going to ball. MTG Ecotoplasm, I don't know, whatever that is, says happy spouse, happy house. Damn right. Greg Wood says, I agree. I don't know if can vet selfish personalities out, but we are trying to catch the Chiefs who have superstars everywhere that aren't walking out the door. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the trick, right? Kelvin Smith says, love you. Love you too, Kelvin. Thank you out there. To Extreme. Why is everybody so worried about X? Hasn't Chris Greer proved more than enough that he can replace and improve from players like X? Come on, the front office knows what they're doing. It's gonna be an interesting battle. Lee Michael Morrison says consistency is paramount. Neither BLM, no SOS Cuba, nor any other group should randomly block streets, highways without prior authorization and planning. Now, I don't think you should block a highway, period, at any point, any time. I don't think you should block a street at any point, any time. I'm sorry. I just fear for the person that is headed to an emergency, headed to something important, and all of a sudden they just get blocked and they're locked. Can you imagine? And then I get you got to get your protest out. You got to get your word out, but we got to do this right. You can't be we kind of went through this with the other protests. Protest, go ahead, but don't block streets and highways. Don't riot. Don't burn houses, cars, businesses, destroy them. There's a way of protesting, and then there's a way where it becomes disruptive. What you do when you do that is you now get a group of people that are no longer going to support you because they see you assaulting a business. They see you turning over a car. They see you blocking a highway. And then that pisses people off because you can get your message out. But if you're hurting other Americans in the process, how does that help? How's the dude that's in an emergency to get somewhere stuck on the Palmetto and he has nothing to do with your cause? He had nothing to do with Cuba. He has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. But yet we're blocking his ass from getting to an emergency. Why are we screwing that guy over? You see what I'm saying? So we have to, it gets to a point where we also have to be considerate of each other, So that way, if you're considerate, other people realize you're considerate, and then they hop on your bandwagon. It's kind of what it is. So you've created a crap storm with that. All right, let's do it. We promised you Omar Kelly from the South Florida Sun Sentinel is going to join us now for the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. And we love Omar, as always, kind enough to join us here on the program. Oh, how you doing, baby?
I got an answer for a question that you asked me on Monday. After doing some research, the 2011, 2012, and 2013 Dolphins team were the last teams that actually improved each season. They went from 6-10, 7-9, 8-8. So
wow.
I don't look at that as there's actually another year where
it's a little desperation, but yeah, that's about. But that answers the question. That
we
answers the
asked for
question.
a year that they improved in 3 seasons. I mean, there's another year where I believe it was the Jimmy Johnson team actually improved and made the playoffs 2 straight years. I think that was before his last season. But that's been a long time. Jimmy Johnson hasn't coached his team in a long time.
Yeah,
Dave
and those
wants
were,
that has not
and we had embarrassing losses on a consistent basis with Jimmy in the playoffs. Like every time he went to the playoffs, he got smoked. You know what I mean? It was like an ugly.
I think he won one. I mean, listen,
he won the Seattle one, right, or the Indy, or what was it?
Well, I don't know.
Year?
We're getting greedy. We got to start actually getting there. Then we got to start winning games. But you turning your nose up at Jimmy Johnson and Dave Wannstedt at this point, 20 years later, is disrespectful because we have not touched Dave Wannstedt's level of success, which is sad, but that's the reality.
That's true. That's
100%.
Yeah.
But Brian Flores has not even come close to achieving it.
No, those are the good days in the last 25 years. Those are the good days actually for us, because it started with Jason and Zach and Patton and Sam, and then Tim Bowen's obviously left over from the Shula. Yeah. And then that defense carried on into Wannstedt, and those were the good days for us as Dolphin fans.
And think about those years that we turned up our nose at the Dave Wannstedt teams, and then this is where I get real popular with Canes fans. The Larry Coker teams that were stoned for going to a Peach Bowl in back-to-back years.
Yeah,
that was just
the 48-3 loss to LSU was the capper. You know what it was, Omar, with Coker and with Wannstedt. It was one of those things that you saw the decline. You saw what they inherited from the prior coach, which was loaded, and then you saw it deteriorate under them.
That was fair to Larry, because I always say this, and people get in their feelings when I say this. Larry wanted a high level with his players, with the Eric Winston, his recruit, with the Greg Olson, his recruit, with the John Beesons, his recruit. Larry won with Frank Gore, his recruit, Roscoe Parrish, his recruit. So everybody who said Larry never won without Butch's players, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's fiction.
Well, he should have won 2 titles in the first 2 years, actually.
Yeah.
The Ohio State one was stolen from him. I mean,
and I continue to bring this up, and people never want to address it. You want to criticize him for being a crappy coach, or criticize Wannstedt for being a crappy coach. And I'm not arguing that they weren't great coaches. I'm not saying that they were great coaches, but in 20 years. Neither organization has even risen to the level of this crappy coach that you had.
Yeah, well, what I blame Coker, what I blame Wannstedt, and I'll blame Dennis Erickson for it too, because he won 2 titles.
Yeah.
All 3 of them inherited special stuff from the prior coaches. Mm-hmm. They started off really well, all 3 of them. They all ended poorly, because that was the problem. They could coach. They were X's and O's guys, but they weren't custodians. They weren't able to maintain. And that's part of the greatness of Belichick, that he was able to roll more players in and out around Brady.
Pause.
No, but it's true.
Pause. I'm not going to give you a Belichick praise free pass until he proves that he can win without Tom Brady.
No, but that's not. No, you're not listening to me. The point is, during the Tom Brady era, he was able to filter in and out players to continue winning. You still have to get the right players, Omar.
Not hard when you got the best quarterback of all time. Sorry.
Well, no, I get that, but some people have had great quarterbacks and had no success and didn't win anything. We had a great one here, and they won nothing whatsoever. You know what I mean? So Drew Brees, as much as Drew Brees threw for so many yards, and Sean Payton, they won 1, bro. They didn't win anymore. And as great as Aaron Rodgers is, they got 1 title.
Hey, but they also played in the era of Tom Brady. And you don't that's like playing in the era of Michael Jordan. There are a lot of people, a lot of greats, and a lot of legends walking around the NBA without rings because of Michael Jordan. There's a lot of great quarterbacks.
Staubach had to play with Bradshaw, baby. You fight, you get a couple of your titles, you get his titles, you get your own titles. You got to fight. If you're great, you will then elevate, right? Part of elevation.
I'm not going to get into the Staubach isn't great or Bradshaw isn't great. I'm sorry, but we're talking two GOATs. Michael Jordan.
Those are GOATs. Those are GOATs.
Michael Jordan, Tom Brady. Who's GOATs? Staubach and Bradshaw?
Yeah, those are GOATs. Those are GOATs in quarterback, bro. Those are GOATs. Right. Those guys are studs.
If you say so.
I watched them. They're great players.
So
I'm not telling you they're the best quarterback ever, but dude, Staubach and Bradshaw were freaking awesome. They were awesome players. I watched those guys, bro. They're good. But my point is that even if you play in a great era, and if you're Michael Jordan, you got to get through the Pistons, and the Pistons had to get through the Celtics. That's kind of part of it. But you got to give Belichick some credit for being able to turn over the roster over Brady so he can maintain that high level, because that's my problem with Coker. That's my problem with Erickson. That was my problem with Wanstead. What they inherited, they could not maintain. And that's really hard to do. Even, Popovich was able to maintain stuff over the years with his guys too. You know what I mean?
That's fair. What I don't like about the Coker discussion, and and people always get in their feelings when I have this Coker discussion. I covered that team. I covered the move from the SEC, from the Big East to the ACC. I know how difficult it was on everybody, especially the football team. Right. So, and people never factor in your recruiting ground has completely changed, and you have to deal with that. Now, you got a great big home base here, but where did you get your offensive linemen? You got them from the Northeast. Yeah, you no longer play in the Northeast.
That's normal.
And your facilities, now you're in an arms race. You go from the middle of the pack in the Big East to you're the bottom of the pack in the ACC. You go from, hey, we're putting all our resources into all our other teams so that they can be competitive in the
basketball.
ACC. You football, you're okay. You're gonna be okay. And they weren't okay. And Coker had to deal with all of that. Not that he did it well or handled it well, but understand everybody else has struggled with it too. So don't sit here and say Coker was trash. Coker was this. Was Randy better?
He was worse.
Was the used car salesman better?
He was worse. Those two guys were terrible.
Rick
was out of gas. We got the Rick that had he was in the red.
Rick's got Parkinson's, man. I can't say a negative thing, but
no, I know. But I'm saying once we got him at this point, he was kind of burnt already from Georgia. He wasn't the Mark Rick that we could have gotten 15 years ago.
And I feel bad. Manny ain't proven shit yet.
No, Manny has a lot to prove, dude.
So let's put some. And I say this all the time. Let's put some respect on Dave Wanstead's name 20 years later. Let's put some respect on Larry Coker's name 20 years later. Until you get to the point where you achieve what either of those individuals have achieved, where you're going to Peach Bowls on a back-to-back basis, which Miami has not done in 20 years, put some respect on it. Till you get to the point where you're going 10-win season, 11-win seasons, back-to-back-to-back, don't put some respect on Dave's name. Not to say that he was a great coach, but
the Boise Bowls don't count. The Boise Bowls don't.
Listen, and I don't like people disrespecting the Boise Bowl. That was a year I covered those teams. That was a year a player got murdered, and everybody sat there thinking, "Am I next?"
You're going completely off to another.
No. It's true. It's true. Think about it. I was at the facility for an entire month in front of ESPN and CNN where people are trying to figure out what's going on. Why are Hurricanes players murdered? Is somebody next? That was a year.
He's talking about Brian Paddle, by the way, folks.
They played games with their minds nowhere near football.
Right.
And I was there. I covered those teams. After losses, before losses, they had a gloss eye look in their heads.
Oh, they're kids. Yeah.
They're kids. They could not handle the season. After the Brian Paddle murder, the season should have been canceled. That's what really should have happened.
Right.
But
that was
lo and behold, we're playing for money, we're playing for prestige. And I give Coker credit because he got them together to the point where they could play the Boise Bowl. And they won the Boise Bowl. And to be honest with you, Boise was probably my favorite bowl experience. It was a different part of the world that I had never seen, never experienced, and sand dunes and ski lodges. So I got respect for the Boise Bowl. I will go anytime. And that team, man, they, I really, in hindsight, now that years have passed, I feel like shedding a tear for them because of all that they had to deal with in that year. Your coaches get fired and replaced. Coker's forced to replace his coaches. Early in the season, Brian Patta gets murdered. Then you got to deal with, at the end of the season, your assistant coach snakes the head coach, gets the head coaching job. It's uncomfortable for everybody. It was a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
It really was a lot.
No, I'm with you there. I definitely understand that, but I give still credit for the coaches that are able to maintain and continue. Like you watch what Nick Saban's doing, you watch what Dabo's doing. It's incredibly hard to continue greatness. You know what I mean? Everybody makes it look easy, but the University of Miami was there, and then they fell off of it, and they haven't been able to get on. FSU fell off, can't get on. Texas fell off, can't get on.
They got back on. They won some national championships.
I'm saying since then, since Vince Young, they fell off, and they haven't gotten back on.
FSU. I'm talking about FSU, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I mean, Tennessee, USC. There's a lot of powers now. We were just talking about this with Trev Alberts taking over yesterday. Dude, Nebraska was always a monster. They never found their way back. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of these teams that they failed to find the custodian that can maintain greatness.
There's a lot. There's a lot to that, Big O. And let me just break it down for you a little bit, because I've been in athletics for such a long time in college and high school, college, and pros. Right now, especially in football, if you want to go to the NFL, which is everybody's goal, you don't have to go to Miami. You don't have to go to FSU. You don't have to go to Florida. You don't even have to go to UCF. You could go to FIU. You could go to FAU. You could go to SMU. You could go
North Dakota State, bro.
South Alabama. Yeah. And so that changed the landscape a little bit now that everybody is on TV, and the development. If you want to know what's wrong with the University of Miami football, and I will tell you, this is the single thing that is wrong with the University of Miami football, and it hasn't changed in 20 years. Player development. Are the players that are getting there improving from their freshman year to the year that they leave the program? It doesn't happen on a regular basis. It doesn't happen enough, and that's a coaching issue. And coaching has to get better. And it's gotten better at points. It's gotten weaker at points. Then Alabama comes and raids your good coaches. You have to be able to retain your good coaches. You have to be able to develop good coaches. Butch developed.
Custodian. That's my point.
Yeah, no.
That's my point. That's being a great custodian is incredibly difficult.
It is.
At any level, pro or college, dude.
Absolutely.
Either way. So any coach that, like Shula, dude. Shula did it for 30 years. And he did it with different quarterbacks, and he did it with
Hall of Famers, though. Two Hall of Famers.
But wait a minute. Whoa. Woodstock was not a Hall of Fame, and he went to the Super Bowl with Woodstock. So again, you know what I mean? When you win your 325 with Doug Peterson, when you watch Shula's career, you watch them overcome things at times. That's what great coaches do. But that's because Shula was an incredible custodian to a program, and that, to me, those are the. It's not just coaching. It's not just X's and O's. It's that other part of being able to maintain. It is so freaking difficult to maintain. It takes a maniac pretty much to maintain it at a high level. And I don't believe Coker or Dennis Erickson or Dave Wannstedt were those maniacs. They knew football. They could coach, but maintain it at an incredibly high level. That's why they were never a Jimmy Johnson, and that's why they were never a any of those great coaches over the years.
Outside of the guys running elite programs like Alabama and Clemson, those programs run themselves. Ohio State, those programs run themselves. Who's doing that now in the college level?
When David Shula was at Alabama, it wasn't running itself. Okay,
come on, man.
Right. No, it wasn't.
I'm not going to disrespect the Shula, but let's be real about that. That wasn't custodian.
But that's my point. That the guy then took over and he got Shula's players and started winning with Shula's players and then added more. But that's what I'm saying. That it's an incredible feat what Bobby Bowden had to do for many years. You know, all these kind of cats that were able to maintain it for a while. That's impressive as hell. Even if you don't win, what Peterson was doing at Boise State to put them on the map was incredible because he had the gift of being a pretty damn good custodian. We'll see if he can do it in Washington on a bigger stage, and Washington's already got a little better. But you start looking around, there are some of those programs that are being maintained, you know, whether it's North Dakota State. I know it's at their level, but the guy maintains it at their level, and he gets 2 quarterbacks taken in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
There's multiple coaches there. So, yeah, they've all had call-up opportunities.
Right,
so,
but that's what I'm saying is there are some of those programs, but you got to find that guy that not only knows coaching, not only can recruit, but can really maintain that program, whatever it is at either level. And that whether it's Belichick or Pops or Riley for years or whoever it is, bro, you got to give those kind of people the credit that they are able to maintain an incredibly, even Sean Payton, he only has 1 championship, but still throughout his tenure, his team has always been one of the better teams in the league.
Same with Mike Tomlin. Yep.
Mike Tomlin, exactly. Another guy
Andy
and another front office, Andy Reid, my God. Talk about custodian, bro. He produces more coaches than everybody else on top of just players and winning. To me, that's a gift. Those guys that have that maniacal approach that they're able to maintain a high level. The dude in Seattle, Pete Carroll, you know, he's turned over his roster now. There's 1 guy left from that defense. And yet they're back now. They're a pretty damn good team, whether they win a championship or not, but they're going to the playoffs on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? So custodian for me is incredibly important characteristic for any coach. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Let's get to this. Xavier Howard's IG post. Talk to me. Decipher that IG post. He says, they won't realize how big a part you play until not there to play it no more.
Everybody knows what's going down.
Give me that cryptic message.
Everybody, you know what the cryptic message is?
Is it really cryptic, by the way?
No, it's not really cryptic. And here's what it is. All this shadowing of elite receivers, I'm going to be on my left side. Y'all figure it out.
So
the guy making $16 million more than me, he's shadow.
So he's going to go Minka, you think, on him?
Who? Minka on who?
On them. He's going to go Minka on them.
That's kind of Minka. Xavier is going to make business decisions. And I don't want to speak for him, but I'm okay with it. If a guy's making $16 million more than me over the last few years, you know what? Have him handle the heavy lifting. I'm making $12 million a year.
So
business,
he's going
business decisions.
So he's going to do whatever it takes to push a trade. Then is what you're saying. You expect, because are we expecting?
They're not trading him. They're not trading him. So. They're not trading him. What? They're not trading him now. They're not trading him by the deadline. They're not trading him by next year, or they're not trading him at all. You think? They're not trading him. They're not trading him at all. They're not trading him this season, okay. Unless he makes a big enough stink or acts up enough, and he realizes there's probably negatives to acting up. But come on, X ain't happy. X is not hiding the fact that he's not happy. You're not going to talk to him. They're not going to put him in front of the media. But X isn't happy. He's not hiding the fact that he's not happy, and they don't care that he's not happy. And it is what it is. Like,
so you're kind of expecting him to make it difficult for them then, because if you're saying that he could say, I'm going to stay on my side, I'm not shadowing anybody.
I'm expecting him to do what's in his best interest, just like the team is doing what's in their best interest. That's what I'm expecting. And I personally don't see anything wrong with that. And I've seen it happen before with players. And I'm one of those people where, and you know this, Big O, all this team bullshit. You can miss me with all that.
It's all business.
Because this is a business, and it's only team when it benefits you, but it's a business when it, when you want to justify some BS. So players, and I literally just had this conversation with a number. I was out at Bomberitos yesterday, and I was talking to a number of guys. Don't want to drop names, but players have to understand that this is a business for you, and you can conduct yourselves like it's a business, just like the team conducts themselves like it's a business. Allen Robinson, and that's one of the players I will name, sat there, talked to him about how to deal with his situation, frustrated as hell, angry. And I was just like, angry about a lot of bullshit being put out there about him and about his contract and about the offers by the team. None of it's real. And I said to him, listen, you can flat out address this stuff and discredit a lot of the BS that they're putting out by saying this is fiction, not fact. And if it comes straight from you as a media member, I have to address it. And a lot of us media members, we're fed by the teams. I am not. We're fed by the teams, and the teams tell us this and then. And in order to continue to get fed by the team, you got to put out team propaganda. I do not do that. I do not conduct myself in that fashion. So, which is why I don't get fed team propaganda. But players have to learn how to stand up for themselves. And there's nobody in the NFL that is standing up for themselves, from the Tom Brady's to the Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers going to bow down and show up for camp. If it were me, I'd be retired right now. And I'd be retired until you're ready and willing to trade me, because I don't need the money. I can sit out a year of football, let my body regenerate. If I want to play for my team, I want to play for the love, then go play. But right now, these NFL teams have these players so brainwashed that you got to do what we say. You got to follow what we do. You got to talk when we say you can talk. You got to say what we say you say. They're the only league that conducts themselves that way.
Well, you know why also? Because most of the players are only going to be around 3 or 4 years. So because most of them are only going to be around 3 or 4 years, they only think short term. We don't have enough of the X's and the Aaron Rodgers and the Russell Wilsons of the world in the league. There's only a few of those guys getting paid all that money. So every time the CBA rolls around, you never really make the progress that you can, because everybody's thinking short term. Whereas in basketball or in football, in basketball and baseball, their contracts are guaranteed lifetime. So they know when they sign a 5, 7, 8 year deal, they're going to get their money for 5 to 7, 8 years. So they can plan when they do CBA decisions. They can think big picture. But the NFL owners have these guys on a like a dog on a chain.
Brainwash.
Right. But they haven't controlled. They haven't controlled because they know their lifespan is 3 to 4 years.
Big O, let me say something to you, and this blew my mind a couple of years. Do you know that there's absolutely nothing in the NBA and MLB CBA that says contracts have to be guaranteed? That's just a cultural thing that the agents stronghold.
The players fought for it. Yes.
Players fought for it.
Yes.
There's nothing in their CBA that says contracts have to be guaranteed. Players can fight for it. They just don't want to. They don't want to make that commitment. And more importantly,
because dude, when you're fighting for a CBA, it kicks in a couple of years, and these players are like, What do I care about that? I'm not even going to be here. I need my money right now.
I agree with you,
I need to smoke weed now. I need my money now. And so they just they have them by the balls, dude. They have them by the balls.
It has to be a change. It has to start somewhere, and it really has to start with their mindset. You are your own, and I say this to all of them. You don't need a team's media relation. You have your Instagram, you have your Twitter. You could be your own media relation team, and you could be your own representative, and you have a direct access to their same fan base, their same media, and you can use it. Just like you're bringing up X's quotes, and I don't think that was something that he put up. That's something that he found and he posted it. And,
right.
This is the time of season, and you know.
But he's playing the game. He's playing the game.
No, he's not playing the game. He's sending messages, and I don't think
that's
he's doing
the game. He's playing that. He's trying to force negotiations. So he is playing the game. He's trying at least.
No, I don't even think he's trying to force negotiations, because they've come with a hardline stance and they're not negotiating, which it is what it is.
Yeah.
And X doesn't have much leverage because he has $12 million in guaranteed money coming this year. Now next year, where there is no guaranteed money, you got a little bit more leverage, you got a little bit more say, you got a little bit more influence, but they're not even coming to the table, which, hey, if that's how you want to play it, cool. You're making a business decision. You're not coming to the table. You're not even, dealing with me in a fair manner. Okay, no problem. That don't mean that I got to deal with you in a fair manner. You could ask me to do things that I feel is at my disadvantage, and I'm not going to do them. And I don't have to do them. There's nobody in the world who says that X has to go shadow the best receiver on another team with no help, which is how they played last year.
Right.
That's
how you're supposed to play.
Like, who the hell would take on that challenge if they feel disrespected by an organization? Which is where X is.
Yeah, I see. That's where you and I will differ, because they gave him what he wanted. He was the highest paid corner, 2 years ago when he signed that deal. That's just the way it goes.
That's not true.
They get outdated.
Again, that's fiction. Again, that's fiction. That's how they sat there and they painted it for y'all and y'all media members, and y'all sitting here writing that he's got a $15 million a year deal. At that moment, that was the number one cornerback contract. It was not because y'all sat there and y'all let an agent.
Who was it?
It was not. It was a 6-year, $76.5 million contract where he sold it to you as a 5-year, $75 million contract.
Yeah, because it's an extension.
Lo and behold, what do we have an issue with now? Everybody's making 15. X is making 12. What does X have an issue with?
That's now, but I'm saying at the moment that was the number one deal. You're not telling me who was number one.
It was not the number one deal. I covered the team.
Who was it?
The cat that went from Washington to Buffalo had the number one contract.
Oh, the big mouth.
Yes, exactly. He had the number one contract. And yes, four guys have come back to the market, and X is now like seventh. Seventh or sixth. I think 4 or 5 guys, including Byron Jones, have come back to the market. But here's the problem, and it goes back to how y'all sat here and processed, regurgitated, and told lies about the contract.
But Omar, forget about our lies. The dude signed it. That was his deal. He agreed to it.
For the guaranteed money. For the guaranteed money.
He agreed to it.
Yeah, for the guaranteed money. That's great. And the team agrees to contracts all the time that they undo, right?
Yeah, and they also.
Okay. So when wait a minute,
Omar, no. You can't play it both ways.
No.
Wait a minute, hold on, let me finish. A couple of months ago, you were spinning it like they overpaid for the guy that came here and went back to New England.
Let me address that.
So they eliminated a contract that they took a hit on, and they overpaid for a guy.
Let me address
that.
So
you overpay and you underpay. It balances out.
And let me address that.
Hanoi wins.
They also left themselves a backdoor exit after 1 year, which says
they do that all the time.
No, they never do that. They never do that.
These guys do. These guys set up contracts so they're not tied to it for long term.
Only contract. Byron Jones has got them by the balls for 3 years. I do
Well,
the
that's
contracts, Big O.
Omar, you know that normally
the only contract
huge.
with a backdoor after
Yeah,
1
yeah,
year.
but Byron's a
only
huge
one.
deal. Byron's a huge deal. This
Yeah,
guy was not.
and right up
Van Noy
after
was not a
Byron was
huge
Kyle
deal.
Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy was the second biggest deal, and
Yeah,
he
but
had
it's
a
a huge
backdoor
gap.
after they put a backdoor in it after 1 year, and that was the only contract of that cycle that had a backdoor in it after 1 year. Shaq Lawson didn't have it. Agba did have a 1 year option where if he played well, they'd keep him and he'd be pissed. But if he didn't play well, they would have dumped him. But the offensive line,
Agbo was an approve-it deal anyways. That's kind of what he had to sign.
But Kyle Van Noy wasn't a prove-it deal. Kyle Van Noy was a big, fat $12 million a year deal where he was getting 15 the first year. But if they decided that he didn't play up to the level that they thought he would, they had left themselves a backdoor to get out, which is the first time I've ever seen it in probably 10 years.
Smart move.
It was smart, and he signed it, and that's fair. But here's the thing. Just like you revisited those situations and you said Shaq Lawson and push you out, Eric Winston and push you out, even though we signed this deal, Albert Wilson and we're gonna chop your salary by 1/3. You know what? If they can do it, players can stand up for themselves and say, hey, this contract in my mind is not fair based on my contributions and what's expected of me. And it needs to be addressed. Just like they make people address their contracts and shake down the Jakeem Grants of the world, they should be getting shaken down too. And because you're a fan, you don't sit there and see the player side of it or their standpoint or their thought process or the fact that they're putting their bodies in harm's way or the fact that they're at the facility from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you don't look at it and you don't care about their stance or their viewpoint or what their issue is. You know what? I can understand Xavier's situation from both sides. And I feel that both sides have a very valid and significant argument. However, you know where my dividing line is? Mm-hmm. The guy who's not as good as me, who carries half my load, made $16 million more than me over the course of the last year and this year.
Right.
Anybody would have a problem with that.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Let me get a couple questions in that I wanted to get in here. You think he won't get traded this year? Mike Silver tweets out that there is a buzz out there around X right now. So is that Canner working the guys behind the scenes to try to stir it up? Or are national people actually really sensing something that somebody can actually make a move for X now?
One, everybody in this market's got a great relationship to Canner. Why would Canner leak it to Mike Silva? And Mike Silva doesn't work through agents. So that's coming from the league. But everybody knows his X is unhappy. Everybody knows X has been on the trading block. And you can believe whatever you want. X been on the trading block. They're not moving him. What are you going to get fair value and compensation for X? Your best player.
All right. So follow up, which was the last question I was going to ask you. What is fair compensation for X at this point? Somebody asked me that yesterday, and I said a first and a third the following year.
No, first and a third. That's fair compensation. It's always been fair compensation. X been on the block for quite a while. They could sit there and they could lie to you as much as they want. X been on the block for quite a while, and you can believe whatever you want. X been on the block for quite a while, and they know exactly what they can get for him. And it doesn't match what he's worth, which is why he's going to sit his butt right here, be unhappy, and act like an ass.
So following up on everything you said, so if you think he's not going to get traded this year, plus you talked about how he's got guarantees this year, but no guarantees next year.
Correct.
So do you feel like the team will try to make the move after the season because cap-wise, it'll be easier on them than it would be now?
Don't use the cap as an excuse. The cap is not.
But the reality is, it's a hurdle that they don't have to. Is there less of a hurdle down the line?
Correct.
Is my question.
They might want to do it next. Don't worry about the hurdle. They might want to be motivated to do it next year, but by that time, you've already pissed him the hell off. He just wants out.
Right.
So nothing has changed in the dynamics of what's going on. You're just pissing off your best player. And he's going to show up and he's going to do exactly what he did last year, which is be a good soldier and go to work. He's just not going to do all your bullshit that you want him to do.
Right.
He's going to show up for work and leave. When that clock hits whatever time, I'm out. And fans can get in their feelings and be in their feelings and whatnot. But you know what? The bottom line is fans don't really care about X or his family or his situation. They just want the productivity. Well, he's going to be out there doing his job. He's just not going to shadow the best receiver. And why would I expose myself like that when I'm trying to hit the market and stay healthy and get myself new guaranteed money? You've already shown me you're not going to take care of me if I play your game. Correct?
Yes, you're right.
I played your game and you didn't take care of me. You paid the man over here $60 million more than me. I come to you and I say, hey, you made this problem. I would like you to fix it. Just fix it with more guaranteed money. And you sit up here and say, nah, we good. Okay, well, we good. Then I'm good.
Right.
And when you ask me to go shadow Stephon Gilmore, I'll be like, nah, I'm good over here on the left side.
Right.
Like Byron could do that.
Right. I got you. By the way, before I let you go, how heartbroken were you watching Richard Sherman? Because you know that's not him, but it must be the torture he's put his body through for many years now as a safety. And
I don't know.
It just came off like CTE, unfortunately, to me, man.
Cornerbacks don't deal with that many hits. Richard Sherman's a very sharp and smart man. I'm not going to blame that on CTE. Domestic disputes, divorce, breakups, they're very hard. Everything that you find in the police report is not the gospel. I'm
just going by the reaction of the man. It just seems like
it
just doesn't seem like it's him.
I'm always about this. It's the same thing. I'm always about, like, we could talk about the quarterback who was involved in a domestic dispute, is trying to cover up stuff for his wife now.
Are you talking about Dwayne Haskins?
Yeah, Dwayne Haskins.
Listen, he got his tooth knocked out, apparently.
It's not funny. It's not funny because it's not funny, Big O, because if he got Elon Nordegren,
bro. Come on.
Listen, if he knocked out his wife's tooth, we'd be talking about a year's ban.
Well, that's different.
No. Why is it different? Domestic violence is domestic violence.
I'm with you, but it's just kind of funny that a woman knocks out a football player's tooth.
It's not funny. It's not funny, and it's not funny, and because domestic violence,
as he says it with a smile too, by the way,
domestic violence is only viewed as domestic violence when a man puts his hands on the women. Women put their hand on men all the time.
Yeah.
That's not domestic violence, right?
No, it's domestic violence. Hey, listen, what I said yesterday, clearly he married the wrong woman, because the second you got to raise your hand to
she's
either
from Bad
party,
Girls Club. All they do is fight. Like,
you just she is? I have no idea. I don't know her.
She's from Bad Girls Club. All they do is fight. All they do on that show is fight. It's as a reality show. Girls put in a house and all they do is fight each other. And they might as well call it Bad Girls MMA.
Well, she needs to go to celebrity boxing.
Listen, I feel bad for him in this situation, because it's the same thing when an athlete hits his wife and his wife doesn't participate in the prosecution, and then the charges are dropped, right. and it's a nasty little cycle. And I feel bad for him because he's out here defending his wife, knowing that his wife put her paws on him. But that's his wife. What is he supposed to do? But I don't think it's funny, because we wouldn't look at it if it was as a funny situation if he had knocked her tooth out. And
no, that's different. That's different.
That wouldn't be fun. That wouldn't be funny, right?
No, it would. No, that would be disgusting.
But she did it, and it's kiki. It's laugh, ha. It's domestic violence goes both ways, and that's something I'm sensitive to, and it's never prosecuted both ways. It's never reported both ways.
No.
And I hope that Richard Sherman addresses his family situation, yeah, it's ugly because it's in the media and we're all in his business, but we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. And same thing with the quarterback. What is his name? The whack one. I'm glad Dolphins didn't draft. The one that got his tooth knocked out.
The one that got his tooth. Oh, you mean Haskins?
Yes, Dwayne Haskins. Okay. I hope for his sake, him and his wife go to counseling. They learn not to put their hands on one another. They learn how to talk things through. And personal situations like that, like we should leave that and let the families handle it and not sit here and make jokes about like, oh, Richard Sherman, that's CTE. No, we don't know.
I wasn't making fun of anything with Richard Sherman.
Yeah,
I am making fun that Dwayne Haskins got his ass knocked out by his girl. I gotta. I'm sorry. I just, it's ugly and all that, but that's.
And if he would have hit her back, then he'd be the worst person in the world. Right?
Yeah, but that's different. I mean, men can, men are way stronger than women because a woman really, unless a woman has a weapon, she ain't gonna hurt you, bro.
No,
she's got to be the MMA girl. What's her name? Nunes or something. Yeah, Amanda Nunes comes at you. You know what they do?
Running the other way. They come to a domestic violence scene and they see who's got the most abuse. Who's got the most damage. And based on that, that's who's going to be arrested. Now, should a man ever put his hands on a woman? Absolutely not.
Never.
Should a woman put her hands on a man?
No.
It should be absolutely not. You're sitting there like, baby.
No. I'm divorcing your ass. You talk about counseling? Screw that. I'm divorcing her. I'm dumping the bitch. Any bitch that hits me, I'm dumping your ass. Okay? And a woman that gets hit by a man, you should dump him. Okay? The second you raise your hand, you have crossed the line of respect that you can never come back from in my eyes. I have a hard time believing that you can come back from that.
And neither one ever leaves the other. It's sad, but that's the reality of domestic.
In that vicious cycle. I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm with you. Follow him on Twitter at Omar Kelly, and you can catch this kind of conversation twice a week where you'll never get it on local stations. And make sure you follow us all over platforms at Big O Radio Show. Omar, thank you as always, my brother. We're building this mother up big time. Appreciate you.
Always a pleasure to go.
You got it. There you go. The great Omar Kelly. We take a break. Hour number 2 is next.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchased with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Number 2 is on the air. We thank you all out there for always supporting us. Make sure you smash the hell out of that like button. It is so important you smash the like button. It's the most important thing you will do for us. Smash the like button. Share the link with others out there. Incredibly important. Great conversation with Omar. That's the kind of stuff you can't get anywhere else. You can't get it. You can't have that conversation. Plus, that was 40 straight minutes of talk right there. Again, you can't get that anywhere because they're going to take 400 breaks to go along with it. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate all of you out there as always, and thank you all for downloading and supporting the heck out of our show, and all the great comments coming through on the chat board. Loving Omar and loving the segment. And listen, that's kind of what we're trying to create here, is the kind of show that a South Florida sports fan can enjoy every day because they're able to talk about their team. See, that's something that we can do, and not for anything else. I don't think most shows can do it here locally. Unfortunately, most of them aren't going to work hard enough to create the kind of sports talk that you want. They'll goof around. And listen, we'll have some fun too. We'll joke around and all that, but I'm a sports talk show host, and I try to find angles for us so we can talk sports. And football hasn't even started yet. So wait till football starts, and this show is going to even go to another level. And we thank Omar Kelly for joining us and coming on and giving us a great interview as always. Michael Young says, good interview. It seems like Omar's primarily response was, no, it's not, with no supporting evidence, especially when talking about X's salary. Yeah, see, because to me, because Omar adds the extra year, which the extra year really shouldn't be added because that's the final year of his rookie deal. It's an extension. And at that time, he was the top paid guy. And there were some of you out there that were kind of questioning that contract, like, wow, they give him a lot of money, And listen, like one person said, yesterday on the chat board, he's really only had one great year. Okay. And I'm not downplaying it, but I'm just saying, if you're the Dolphins, I'm kind of siding with the Dolphins on this one. I could side with the player if I thought the player had the right, but you signed your contract, bro. You made a commitment. Now this is unprofessional. It just is. And you had to know that your contract was going to get outdated a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. By the time you're at the end of your contract, you're going to be like the 20th ranked corner. But that's just the way it goes. That's the reality. What can I tell you? I love this format. I have an important appointment now, so I can pause it and pick it up later. Thank you, sir. Troy Ortiz says, love Omar. Awesome interview. Tack Love Art says, Ronda Rousey can whoop a man. Yeah, she probably could. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. I really enjoyed this segment of the show. So Omar has joined the Big O Show. Well, he's been with us for almost a month now. This is like, I think he completed his third week with us now. I think next week will be a month that he's exclusive. For those of you that don't know, just in case, if you're just tuning in, Omar Kelly's on with us twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. Manny Navarro is also our Canes insider. You can't catch him anywhere else, neither Omar, Tuesdays and Fridays. So we are going to talk to Manny Navarro in 12 minutes, and he's going to come on. Ira Winderman will start in August, okay? He will start with us twice a week also. So during your heat season and off season, it's Ira twice a week. It's Omar twice a week. It's Manny Navarro twice a week. So we're going to keep you updated on everything going on. And then we're also going to be doing our pre and post game shows, Dolphins pre and post game shows at Sports Grill. Omar will contribute there also at Sports Grill. We'll do it 2 hours before kickoff, and we'll do a post game for 2 hours also after the game is done, and we'll have the press conferences and all that good stuff like we normally have. So we'll have it, and we'll be either at Bird Road or the Miami Lakes location. Next week, we're going to announce another huge addition to the show that will also mark more exclusive stuff that we're bringing here that you cannot get anywhere else. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of what we're putting together here. We're going to have the best insiders. We're going to have the most dedicated sports talk show to South Florida sports. So that way, the South Florida sports fan that lives anywhere in the world can either watch it or download it at any time they want. Plus, Kyle Krabs, okay, is now going to join us from the Dolphins Wire and the Football Network. He's going to join us starting August also. At the same time Ira starts, he'll be on every Wednesdays. Kyle Krabs will be with us. It'll be the Sports Grill Dolphins insider report. And Kyle Krabs is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm not done yet. We're going to add more to the show. And we're going to have more exclusive segments that you will not be able to get anywhere else. So, again, if you want to find out about what the hell's going on in South Florida sports, and we are a complete sports talk show, okay? Unlike whatever's left at 560 or 790, they only talk a couple of sports. Michelle Kaufman will come on at 1 o'clock today to talk a little InterMiami. So I'm not going to leave soccer out. I'm not going to leave hockey out. I'm not doing any of that. Okay, I'm not leaving baseball out either. We're going to talk all sports like we normally do here on this show. So everybody gets love. All right. So that's kind of those are the things that we're working on here on the show already. And those are the elements that you can guarantee you're always going to catch here, whether it's live on YouTube or catch it later on YouTube recorded, or of course, where it's podcasted. And we slice and dice it for you in many different ways, from the complete show to the hours, to the interview segments, to some of my rants, and some of the individual. We even put out some of the individual questions and answers for some of these interviews, also to kind of get a tease out there, and people can hear a little bit of the interview, and then they can go back and if they want to hear the entire interview. So we are loading up this show like no other show in town. And we want to make it must-listen radio for all of you out there. So that's what we're working on here on the Big O Show. And again, I can't thank all of you enough. Yesterday for the record downloads, we've never had 21,000 on the show, and yesterday it was 21,256 downloads, which is just an absolutely sick number. By the way, we're already at 18.5 today. Okay. 18.5. That's crazy. The 11 o'clock hour had 3,300 downloads alone. I'm just looking at it right now. The 11 a.m. hour. And we're on during that time, right? No, it was the 10 a.m. hour. I'm sorry. The hour prior to when we got on, 3,300 downloads. So thank you. I can't say enough about what all of you are doing and supporting our show the way you are, and spreading it, and the like button. You got to hit that like button. That is incredibly important, man. So we're at 75 likes. Not bad, man. Let's get to 100 today. That would be really, really nice if we can get to 100. It would be really cool. Gary says, hey, Big O, what normal person can go to their job and tell them they don't want to work because the guy at the same position makes more money? That's why I'm saying with X, it's one thing after another, bro. And that's where it gets to a point where you've got to say, as a front office and as a team, enough's enough, bro. The drama, we're done. We stick by the guy with domestic issues. He's had several knee injuries. We gave him a big contract, even with a couple. You remember, go back and read the articles and people talking about it. When they gave X that money, a lot of the people were writing about, well, he's had several knee surgeries, kind of a risk and this and that. So there were questions when they gave him the contract. It's the funny part, and now it's like, oh, well, we have some people like, pay him. It's not that simple, man. It's not that simple. There's a lot that goes on. King Short says, peeps need to keep their hands off each other, walk away. Amen, bro. There's no reason to hit your woman. Woman shouldn't be hitting your man. There's no reason. None. I'm an old school guy in the sense that there's no reason for me to ever hit my wife. I would never hit my wife. I know she's never going to hit me, and that's it. But if she ever got to that violent stage, I'm gone, bro. I'm out the door. I am not going to stand for that. I'm not going to hit her back or anything like that. I'll protect myself. I'll pull a Jay-Z, because that's what men do. When Solange was going crazy on his ass in the elevator and he's just kind of stopping her and trying to protect himself, but not hitting her at all. That's how men handle that situation. But I got to tell you, if my woman, my girlfriend, my wife is acting that way, that's when I tell her, hey, we're done. I'm out of here. I don't need this. I would never hit you. You're going to be hitting me, and get out of here, man. I'm done. So to me, there's no counseling for that. I don't believe in that. Not for that. my kid's mom would get in my face all the time saying, hit me, I dare you. And that's why she is my ex. Can't live like that. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if somebody is looking for violence, where the hell does violence belong in a stinking relationship, dude? Kamara to Finns and Saints get X. Ramona, no, you could get your own running back. And he's already got a bunch of mileage on it. You want to get next year, they will get a fresh car, Ramona. Okay? That's what's going to happen. Next year, they'll get a fresh car from the lot. They'll get a brand new car. They're going to walk onto the Acura Pembroke Pines lot, and they're going to look at a beautiful NSX, a sleek running back that is ready to go, and they're going to choose him in that first or second round, and then they'll plug him in there so they can milk it for 4 years. That's what's going to happen. I don't know if he'll get a second contract. Maybe I think what they'll do with future running backs is, unless he's like an absolute monster, like, one of those can't miss type guys. But if he's a really good back, you let him play his 4 or 5 years. If you get him in the second round, 4 years, then you tag him for a year because the number isn't crazy. He plays your 5th year. Maybe you tag him again, and then you let him go. Something like that. Not a lot of running backs are going to be living through second contracts anymore. It's going to be very few of those kind of guys. So I don't think you go get an Alvin Kamara now at this point. Plus, Alvin Kamara is not enough for X because running backs are a dime a dozen. You can go get and draft yourself a running back. If you got a good line and a quarterback, your running back's always going to excel. Not Alvin Kamara style, but still. But Kamara has mileage on him now that I wouldn't do that. I need more than that. Let's see. What else do we have? I have faith in Jared Dokes with the ball. I don't know. We got to see. We got to see. That's the Cincinnati kid, right? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. He looked good. He had some good highlights. Apparently, he had some injuries that he had to overcome. And then apparently he's a tough kid, but we'll see. We'll see Gaskin and Brown and company. Somebody's going to have to step up. Doak reminds me of Terrell Davis. That is high praise. We'll see. Gaskins finning to ball out. Okay. That would be nice. I'm looking forward to it. So Tom Brady. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. You know what? I should not get into this because I'm not going to get into the Tom Brady talk because we're about to get Manny Navarro now. He's going to join us here at 1:30. So we'll have a little fun with Manny, and we'll get him on now, and we'll talk a little Canes football. I got some questions for him. If you have any Canes questions, by the way, you can send them in now before Manny Navarro joins us here on the show. I've got a couple questions that I want to ask him, but you never know. Sometimes you guys come up with some good questions, and I will definitely include them in there. If you produce some good questions, I have no problem with that. I love it. A lot of you like Dokes a lot, huh? His tape was good. And the interview also, he was a likable kid too. I liked his attitude. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, physically, he has the attributes that you look at and you say, okay, you might be able to transition at the next level. Now, he's got to go and do it, which is not an easy thing, ladies and gentlemen. But still, I gotta agree. Joe Hamilton says, it's always fun listening to you and Omar Kelly. I am so glad people are finding your show, Big O. Thank you, thank you, thank you. GP Trap says, Goldie on Ice, Big O needs someone to come on his show, Big O, to talk Panthers hockey once or twice weekly. We need you, Goldie. It will be awesome. That's what GP Trap says. We'll get Goldie on during the season. That's not a problem. And we'll have George Richards on, David Dwork, obviously tight with both guys. Love David Dwork, love George Richards. Hockey will not be left off ever, GP Trap. You don't have to worry about that, okay? None of you have to worry about soccer, hockey, or basketball being left off. We are a complete sports talk show, okay? I don't have to be a slave to radio. You understand? At QAM and at 790, you have a program director that will tell them to talk Dolphins, Canes, and Heat, and that's it. And that's what he'll try to force feed. And it's been like that for years. They don't want you to really get into the Marlins because they're afraid that, the meter and all that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. The people that don't want to hear about the Marlins or Inter or the Panthers, you can tune out. You can come back, and when we're talking football or basketball or whatever, or the draft, you name it, join us. That's fine. And what it is it's a digital platform. So the people that love baseball will then go back and listen to that interview. Just like Michelle Kaufman at 1 o'clock. We got a bunch of soccer fans that are going to listen to it, just like they did with Franco Panizo earlier in the week. All right, it is time to get into a little Canes football with our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report with Manny Navarro. We do it twice a week on Tuesdays and on Fridays. Manny, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, getting ready for my trip to Charlotte next week to attend the ACC Media Days. It'll be nice to actually interact with people again in person instead of being on Zoom. So I'm looking forward to that. And just cranked out our recruiting confidential piece on Florida. It took me all week, man. I was talking to coaches from all over the parts of the state to talk about what they honestly think the in-state schools are doing recruiting-wise. So I've been busy churning out stuff and getting ready to start rolling on this season.
I like it. And you're going to have some fun over there in the ACC Media Days. I had fun, especially when I put Al Golden in a really uncomfortable position. That, to me, was an absolute blast. Not for the PR department for the Canes. They still hate me to this day, probably, whoever is left over there. Manny, let's get into some Cane stuff as you get ready for the ACC Media Days. I was going to ask you, how important is Will Mallory to this offense? Because I know Hodges and Arroyo are there too. Will they play a role? But I would imagine because of the receiving core, will they depend a lot on Mallory this year?
Well, I think there's no question that Rhett Lashley likes to involve the tight end in his offense. He did it at SMU. He's done it at his other stops when he was at Auburn. I think, it's a big part of what he does. And, it's really two tight ends more than anything. He likes to go with the two tight ends versus just using the one tight end in the middle of the field. So Mallory played a big role with Brevin Jordan in the past last year. Last year, unfortunately, Brevin was dealing with injuries and whatnot. They weren't always on the field at the same time. But I think he's ready to step into that lead role. The question becomes, who kind of emerges to be that second guy. Larry Hodges ended up missing all of the spring. He got himself into some trouble off the field and missed practically the whole spring. I actually talked to his high school coach recently who said everything is fine with UM. There were no charges brought forth. So even though he missed the spring, I think, they're expecting Larry to come back and be a contributor. He's a guy that is kind of like a Chris Herndon type tight end. I think Mallory, very good receiver down the field, might be a better receiver than Brevin Jordan in terms of holding on to the football, making plays with it after the catch. I think what Brevin was really good at was blocking. He started to really improve as a blocker by the time his third year came around. And so I think Will still has to kind of cross that threshold. Miami doesn't employ more than 5-man blocking very often. They had 5-man protection schemes only like 67% of the time, which is still pretty high. But, the point is they like to have that tight end get out and be a part of the offense. And I think it's going to be important for Elijah Arroyo and for Larry Hodges to come along and develop into the players that Miami's hoping they can be.
Yeah, with when you're saying Jordan Mallory, also Jordan probably a little bit more explosive than Mallory too, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I would say after the catch. Yeah, I mean, in terms of breaking tackles and being physical, but in terms of speed down the field, Will Mallory, I think, is more. He creates more separation. He does. Yeah, he's more of a receiver. He was a guy who came in lighter into college than Brevin. I think he's kind of like a Greg Olsen type in my mind. He can create separation down the field. And I think, Brevin's a little shorter, Will's a little longer. The thing again, Will's coming off an injury. He had surgery after the end of the season and was coming back from that, missed the spring because of it. But I think he'll be fine. Do you get that second guy? To me, that's more important, who steps into that second role, because it has to kind of be a revolving door. And with how much guys miss time at that position, you can't just all of a sudden say, well, Will Mallory's out. We got nobody to play,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. Haley and Rambo obviously are expected to be a big part of the passing game. But who's the sleeper guy that we should be focused in on at the wide receiver position that you think might end up making some noise?
Oh, no doubt, Keyshawn Smith. I mean, this kid, put out a photo yesterday of him, I guess, testing in the vertical leap. They're doing some of their testing here recently, with Coach Feely. And, I mean, he's got a vertical leap that's just ridiculous. I wrote about this kid in the spring. He's out of San Diego. He was a Washington State signee. He was gonna go there before Leach left, and then Miami swooped in, and the kid decided, I'm gonna come to Miami without even taking an official visit. And he caught 2 touchdowns in the spring game, made an unbelievable move near the goal line, spun off, made a catch, spun off, and left 2 DBs in his dust. And I thought, man, this kid he's got it. And he's the one I've been hearing about the most in terms of, the guy behind the scenes scout team developing little by little. So to me, he's kind of the perfect sleeper pick. I think Xavier Restrepo is another kid who could potentially replace Harley in the slot once he's gone and be that sort of elite slot receiver that you like, a guy who just knows how to get first downs, knows how to move the chains. Miami really likes him a lot, but I think Keyshawn Smith is the guy on the outside. I think him and Charleston Rambo are the future. I mean, they're going to be the guys that really step up and I think replace the Mark Popes and the D Wiggins who have been too inconsistent dropping footballs.
Yeah, you're right about. That's why I asked, because obviously you wanna see some new names, hopefully take this thing to the next level. Linebackers and striker, loaded with freshmen and sophomores. How concerned should we be with the lack of experience at those positions?
Well, you're always concerned, right? You always feel better when you know what you've got coming back at those positions in terms of just, experience and guys that can handle, especially, linebacker being the quarterback of your defense. But I think a kid like Corey Flagg, who's coming into his second year, coaches have been talking about him since last year. It was always a matter of, can we get this kid in shape? Can we get him to be as fast as we want him to be? I think the football smarts are there. I think he's got all the stuff that Shaq Quarterman had when he was the leader of this defense at middle linebacker in terms of being able to put guys in the right place, being able to yell out what's coming. I think he's got all those things. Now it's a matter of, how will his body handle being the lead guy in the middle of that defense week in and week out, and can he stay healthy? I think the other positions, weak side linebacker, Keontra Smith, he's a guy who is moved over from the striker position. They're trying to throw some weight on him so that he can compete with Sam Brooks Jr. for that weak side linebacker spot to try to build some depth there. Sam Brooks is coming into his 3rd year. He's a guy that they've always liked, but he's been hurt. He's been injury prone. And so he's just got to stay on the field. And that's the number one concern for him. But Smith is a guy, if you watch the spring game on, I don't know if you did or you didn't, but right at the beginning, when the first team offense was out there, they threw 2 little sort of dump off passes out in the flat, and he immediately went and made the tackle and brought the guy down, whether it was Cam Harris or Jalen Knighton. And so you can see the speed, you can see what Miami likes in terms of his ability to wrap up. He's a kid out of Chaminade, Madonna, who played in the box a ton when he was there on a state championship team, even though he was recruited as a safety because he's 6 feet, 200 pounds. But he's very quick. And I think, the thing that Miami wants more than anything is speed at that position. That's the way they've been trying to recruit here the last couple of years. You look at the kids that they're after in this next cycle, kids like Wesley Basaint, he's 6'1", 200 pounds. It's that striker position, that speed, being able to cover, 4 receivers when teams line up in 4 receiver sets is important. And they want to be able to do it with guys at that striker position because they can also stay in the box and make tackles for you.
All right, that's interesting because that's the one position that I really scratch my head. So let me ask you, when I look at this team and when there's a lot of experience coming back, is the strength of the team the defensive secondary, or the linebackers are hoping that the defensive tackles are the strength? So what is the strength of this team outside of De'Aaron King, of course, if he's healthy, which we all know that's the ultimate strength of this team, that dude. But out of the positions,
right?
Am I right by saying secondary and defensive tackle, or is there another group that you'd put there, like the offensive line?
Yeah, I think the offensive line certainly deserves some respect, especially with all the returning starters that they have. They took a giant leap. People have been talking about Zion Nelson now as a potential first-round pick, and this is a kid who was 240 pounds when Miami got him, a year and a half ago or whatever, and threw him to the fire and said, hey, go start against Florida week 1 because we've got nobody else who can move their feet as well as you can. And he had a terrible freshman year, gave up 12 sacks, among the worst in the country. And then last year he comes back. He's a little dinged up at the start of the season, gets healthy. And from like week 4 on, he was just a different dude, man. Like you go back and you watch the film and he's a different dude. And they're so excited about him. And I know NFL people look at him and his frame. That's what they want now, these offensive tackles. They want 6'5", light, athletic guys who can tangle with the guys at the outside at the edge rusher position. And that's what he is. That's what Zion Nelson is. I think Miami feels a lot better that Navon Donaldson is back. I think the 2 guard positions that they had last year, Ja'Kai Clark, a guy who
in condition, Navon Donaldson.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. Right. Well, he was over 400 pounds at one point from what I was told, while he was recovering from this injury. So he is down now to about 340 from what I've been told.
He races me around the drive-thru. You know that, right? I mean, it's a race between me and him who can go through more drive-thrus. But he's been beating me lately. That's the thing. So I'm trying to get him away from the drive-thrus. What do we do there, Manny?
I don't know what to do, man. Well, I know he's eating healthier. I know that he's got a girlfriend who cooks for him. She's making, the grilled chicken constantly for him and the rice and all that. I think the biggest thing with Navon Donaldson is just how motivated is he to work out constantly. And when I saw him at Paradise Camp up close, I was like, damn, this guy, you can tell he's changed his body. You can tell he's serious about the NFL. I talked to somebody who's close to him every now and then, and they've told me over and over again, like, he knows this is the year to make money. He's motivated.
So it's a contract year, huh?
Yes, it's a contract year, bro. You know how that works.
Hey, see, the pisser of Navon Donaldson is, if you watch him, he's NFL talent. Right. He can play. Forget college. He can play in the NFL. If he gets his ass in gear and gets in shape, he doesn't lack ability, dude. He should be able to dominate at this level, and people will be salivating to draft his ass in the 2nd or 3rd rounds next year. But if he doesn't, then he's the guy that gets taken in the 6th or 7th round as a project because he can't stay away from the drive-thrus like me. And so that's the frustrating part about Navon Donaldson, that when you look at him, you see NFL talent.
Yep. There's no doubt. And it's been that way since I've known him since he was in the 10th grade. Oh, and it was just one of those things where, at Miami Central, you would watch him and you'd be like, man, like this kid is he's like another human being. He's like 2 human beings in one, really, with this kind of strength that he has and how big his body is. He just moves people out of the way with ease. And so it's always a matter of, can you get him to stay in shape? Can you get him to take training and everything else seriously? And I think without question, from when I saw him last month at Paradise Camp, just walking around, talking to guys, you can see like the flab, he still has some cushion, but there's some muscle in those arms, and there's some definition in other places there on his body where you can see like, man, this guy's like, he knows the NFL's calling, right?
Well, let's hope so, man, because if he can actually come in shape, then he's going to be an absolute monster for this team this year. All right, we'll wrap it up with this here on the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report. Please visit them at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. Go to Caneswear online at caneswear.com. Orders over $99, you get free shipping. 954-835-5597. All right, Manny. If King goes down, because he is coming back from a knee injury, so he's got to prove to be durable this year coming back from that knee injury. It's not going to be easy. So if he does go down, what's your gut tell you? Will it be Van Dyke or will it be Garcia?
It's a great question, though. I got to see what happens in camp here this fall. And I think it's going to really come down to those practices. I think right now, because of his experience running this offense, it would probably be Van Dyke in terms of, he was around studying this thing for over a year. He's got a year more of experience being around Rhett Lashley than Jake Garcia does. But I think down the road, you ask me what my eyes tell me, I think Jake Garcia is a little bit better than Tyler Van Dyke in terms of accuracy, downfield, leadership, vocal, all those other attributes that you need in a quarterback. Not that Tyler Van Dyke is bad, because he's not. He's very good. Yeah,
but wait a minute. But by you saying that, there's something about Tyler that has fallen a little short. So what is it?
I don't. I mean, to me, it's just what my eyes told me watching them in that spring game. I think there's something about the way Jake plays and carries himself that tells you he's special. Like just it doesn't. Again, I'm not trying to knock Tyler Van Dyke because I went out to Connecticut. I met him and his coaches and the people out there at his high school a year and a half ago. I was super impressed with him too. I just think, when I look at it, I see Jake a little notch above in terms of talent and what you want out of that position. But to me, and I've spoken to multiple scouts who saw the spring game and people who have been around football, they think both of those guys could start at a lot of ACC schools. So.
All right. Tease a little bit again, the recruiting piece.
Yes.
So folks can check you out at The Athletic. More importantly, subscribe, please, and support my man Manny and all the great writers there. Plus, you'll get all the news across the United States, college, NFL, NBA. You're going to get all the insight, man. So make sure you subscribe like I do to The Athletic. Manny, go ahead. Tell them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're well over 1 million subscribers now, and again, as I've told people many times, you want to check out The Athletic for everything that we offer. It's the one-stop shop for everything in sports. If you really like overseas soccer, I mean, we've got writers on every team in the English Premier League and all over Europe covering soccer. So that's a big draw. We've got MMA writers. We've got all kinds of people involved. MLS coverage is great. I think from a national and international perspective, it's the best site that there is. As far as my article, the entire college football team, we've got over 35 writers. We teamed up to do these recruiting confidential pieces where we looked at each state, California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. And then today we came out with Florida, where me and Alan Taylor, who covers the Florida Gators for us, we spoke to 10 coaches, a couple of other people around the game, talent evaluators, etc., to get their opinions on why it is that Alabama's been coming in here and kicking everybody's ass for players. And we got some really interesting opinions and thoughts on every single team in the state, including FIU, FAU, USF, and UCF. So if you want to read what coaches, high school coaches, and people around recruiting really think about the job that these guys are doing, it's a perfect piece for you. And again, it's not just Florida. We'll give you Texas. We'll give you California, all the big time states that produce NFL talent year in and year out. You got some of the best reporters in college football giving you some really good insights.
I love it. One-stop shop for the website. And then obviously you're on the one-stop shop for shows.
That's right.
Our show, which we cover everything. We talk about every sport, unlike other shows that can't talk about every sport. So there you go. How about that? Manny, as always, you're a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking part as you do every week with us here at the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report. We will talk to you again on Tuesday, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care. Good to talk to you.
Got it. Thank you. There you go. The great Manny Navarro. We love Manny. Good stuff as always as Manny joins us every single Friday, baby. Friday is what it's all about. Got a couple more minutes, and then Michelle Kaufman is going to join us. Did you guys see that Tom Brady played with a torn MCL? Okay. Brady. The legend of Brady grows more and more and more. Now, listening to some of the ex-players are like, well, depends on how torn it was. May not be that much of a deal. It could only be a couple strands that are torn, this and that. But either way, we don't know how torn it was. We don't even know if it was completely. I thought it was completely torn, but still, a lot of the guys kind of downplayed it a little bit. Some of the football players that I saw on ESPN this morning when they were talking a little bit about it. But for the average fan, this is something that now is going to add to the legacy and the legend that is Tom Brady, because the dude's in his 40s, okay? He goes to a new team where he has to get to know everybody and the system and all that, and he's playing with a knee that isn't 100%. I don't know how torn it is, but I'm sure it had to affect you some way or another, right? I'm sure it would affect the hell out of us just by doing what we do normally every single day. I can't imagine playing NFL football. So this just adds to the legend of freaking Tom Brady. And by the way, if you want to laugh, go to his Twitter page. He has a video that he posted with his 3 kids running routes. and he called them Wes Welker and all that. He named them like they're, Edelman and Welker and all that. Like, so it was funny actually. And then he's like, Gronk, where you at and all that. So it's this Tom Brady is fun to watch. I gotta say, this Tom Brady's fun to follow. All of listen, I get it. He won with Tampa, and I want to see my Dolphins win, not Tom Brady. I get all of that, but I got to admit, it's fun to watch this Tom Brady. Okay, I really enjoy this one compared to the stuffy dude that had to, be with the Patriots for a minute. Like every player that's at the Patriots, it's like you become a machine and you're not allowed to, like, personalities left at the door, that kind of stuff when you enter the Patriots land. The other thing about that story is that it shows you that they're still going to lie about injuries, and you're still not going to find out everything that is involved in that game. I would imagine Vegas saw that story and said, damn, dude. And listen, the wise guys are wise guys for a reason. That's why they're building these palatial things over there in Vegas. That's why they build the hotels so big that it's a mission for you just to walk outside. From the door of your room to get to the sidewalk, you got to walk a half a mile, and they know it. So they want to make it as that's why they make it like every hotel is like a small city. So you can get your entertainment, you can get your food, you can gamble, you can watch shows, you can do it all in one place. That's what they want to do. They want to trap your ass in there, basically. And so you look at this situation with this guy, and Vegas is looking at, well, wait a minute, we're not getting all the info here. Because lines might have changed. Perceptions might have changed if you hear that Tom Brady's playing with a torn MCL. Now, the outcome would have been the same because obviously he won it, but a lot of people might have held back a little bit on betting. A lot of people might have been a little nervous now that they bet and they didn't know that they were betting on a player that had a torn MCL. And again, we don't know exactly how torn was it. You know what I mean? So, but the legend of Tom Brady continues to grow now with this one. This is the latest chapter for Tom Brady. Dude wins 7 Super Bowls, one of them with a torn MCL. And now he's won Super Bowls with 2 different teams also, which, just adds to the freaking legend that this guy is. And if he wins it again this year, can you imagine? And that's the other thing about this season. I hope my Dolphins can get there. I would love to see, but I don't really look at the Dolphins as a Super Bowl contender. I look at them as a playoff contender. I'm expecting them to make the playoffs, okay? I got to see them make the postseason this year. I think they've got the team, and everything's on to and now to, improve from last year and get more comfortable, and I think all of that is going to end up happening. But it's almost like we know we're headed for another Chiefs-Patriots Super Bowl, aren't we? Right? It's not like anybody improved to the point like you're saying, oh, no, they're better than the Bucs. No, the Bucs brought everybody back, dude. The Chiefs brought everybody back. Those two franchises have done, especially the Chiefs the last couple of years, because they won it 2 years ago. Usually by now you have lost a whole bunch of people. They've done a great job of keeping everybody together pretty much since they won the Super Bowl. And then Tampa was able to do the same thing this offseason, bring everybody back. It's kind of cool, right? When you know that there's something there to grab hold of. You've got guys that are going to be willing to, kind of work with the team and try to get a deal done that obviously they get paid, but not to the point where it's a detriment to the team and it hurts you from signing other people. And the Bucs have done a fabulous job of working the cap and keeping everybody together. And the Chiefs have done an even better job because now it's over a 2-year span of doing it, which becomes a bigger challenge as the years go on to keep everybody together. But that's what you have to do if you're the Chiefs and you're the Bucs. Why? Because you're there. You're knocking on the door of a damn championship. You're the 2 closest teams to a championship right now. And outside of my Dolphins, I love my Dolphins, but they're not a Super Bowl contender. So it almost feels like That's what we're headed to right now. We're headed to another Mahomes and Brady matchup, which, again, as football fans, we really can't complain. Unless our Dolphins take 2 steps forward, not just become a playoff team, they become a Super Bowl contender, that we can look at them and say, well, no, they belong there as much as the Chiefs right now because they're playing at an incredibly high. That's unrealistic to put the Dolphins in that position next year, folks. 2022 is the season. 2023 is the year you win the Super Bowl as Dolphin fans. This year, it's just, win the 11, 12 games, get into the playoffs, get a little playoff experience, and then next year make that run, baby, for the title. That's what'll happen. So relax, Dolphin fans. It's coming. It's coming. But it does feel like this year, very NBA-ish, right? Because in the NBA, you can almost predict who's going to be in the finals year in and year out. You almost know pretty much, okay, yeah, this is the team set to win. And this year, I was thinking about this. This year, the interesting part about the NBA, and I'm gonna pull this up for you guys because I found it pretty interesting. Let me see where it's at here. Let me see if I can pull this damn thing up here. Here we go. There we are. Okay, so you look at it, you got the Bucks and the Suns, right? Bucks were the 3rd seed, Suns were the 2nd seed. The number 1 seeds were Philadelphia and Utah, which you really weren't looking at them as, NBA champion contenders in a way, because we still were looking at the Lakers, and if the Clippers got healthy, you figure that they could be there. But the Lakers were your 7th seed, and the Clippers were your 4th seed. And the dominant team during the season was Utah, but they were only 1 game ahead of Phoenix. So Phoenix is the one in the finals, and then the Bucks were 3 games behind Philadelphia. And really, you looked at Philadelphia, the Nets, and the Bucks, and they were all realistic as teams that could be in the NBA finals. So in a way, you weren't really shocked that those 2 teams are the ones in the finals. I know that the hype had the Nets there, but obviously with the injuries, that's what, ultimately hurt the Nets. But then again, look at the players that you're counting on. Kyrie Irving, for whatever reason or not, the dude always breaks down. It's just one of those things that happens to him. He's got terrible luck. And obviously twisting up that ankle, that ended their season. But it's not like you're necessarily shocked that the Bucks are there. The Bucks are the team that has been knocking on that door the last couple of years. So in a way, it's kind of predictable, the teams that were there. But in the NFL this year, it feels very NBA-ish, like on a year when the Lakers are healthy and ready to go, and you're picking them, or the Bulls with Michael Jordan, or any of these favorites, San Antonio, you name it, Miami Heat when they got the big 3, that you were kind of penciling them in already for the finals, and sure enough, they would end up in the finals. I almost feel like the NBA this year right now in the NFL. And the only thing that could derail the Bucks or the Chiefs are injuries, because they're clearly the best teams. So we'll see if Brady can go out there and add to the legacy of not just winning, but winning. Now he'll tear 2 knee ligaments this time. He'll just make it that much more challenging for his team. All right, we are awaiting Michelle Kaufman to join us from the Miami Herald to talk a little InterMiami football. Why don't we do this? Let's take a very quick break so we're ready for Michelle in 60 seconds. So she joins us here on the Big O Radio Show.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchased with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Numero 3 of the program. We're awaiting Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald as InterMiami is getting ready to take on the New York Red Bulls. They have added a couple of players. They added a young guy last week. We talked about it with Michelle. Actually, yeah, we did last week with her. We talked about it. And this week, obviously, the arrival of 2 international players in Marsman and damn it, what's the other guy's name now that I'm forgetting? Kieran Gibbs. Kieran Gibbs and Marsman, Nick Marsman, are joining the team along with Indiana Vasilev. So we'll get Michelle's thoughts on it, and she is ready to go. Let's discuss a little Inter-Miami football. Good afternoon, Michelle. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I cannot complain. Obviously, we're having a good time here and getting ready to talk a little Inter-Miami. First of all, you were at the you got some access to the press conference and the new additions. Your thoughts on Marsman and Gibbs now joining the team?
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to both of them, to be honest. Kieran Gibbs is, despite the fact, he played 10 years at Arsenal, he has a very impressive resume. He's on the English national team, so he's got a lot of great experience. He's very humble, very, very humble guy. I really like chatting with him. He basically said, just because I got here from the UK doesn't mean that fans should think I'm just going to waltz right in and be a star and play right away. I have to prove myself. I have to prove to the manager that I deserve to be there. But he is definitely ready. Phil Neville said, both players actually are dealing with the weather conditions, which is something they're not used to. Nick comes from Holland and Kieran comes from England. And he said, he was not really prepared. He called it a shock to his system, the heat and humidity and the amount of rain. He said, I come from England, he's used to rain, but not this kind of rain, not Miami.
Not humid rain. Right. Exactly.
Not humid rain and not monsoons every day. So, but anyway, it seems that both of them, from all indications that I got yesterday, both of them are going to play tomorrow. And Indiana Vasilev also, I think, might play. Basically, Phil Neville said that there are no more excuses. They've run out of excuses and everybody needs to step up. And he talked about how the addition of these 3 players, and I heard this from Chris Henderson, who was out at the practice yesterday also, that these 3 guys joining the camp in midsummer has kind of given everybody a boost of energy when they really needed it. The team has lost 5 games in a row. They've only scored 1 goal during those 5 games. They're in 13th place. Things are just not that good right now. And these 3 new guys coming in brought energy. They brought energy to the camp. Everyone that I've spoken to yesterday said that, the players have been more on their toes. There's a lot of competition for playing time. And Gonzalo Higuain and Rodolfo Pizarro and Robbie Robinson are all 100% fit. They are 100% fit, 100% ready to go. So what Phil said yesterday and what the players said is that, they really believe that even though they have a brutal stretch coming up over the next 6 games, they're going to play 5 of the top teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
And then even New York is, 6th, 7th. So they're playing the top teams over the next 6 games, the top 5 teams. But that said, they really believe that with both DPs healthy and presumably starting, with Robbie Robinson healthy, with the addition of this Indiana Vasiljev, who people are talking about his speed, he's not going to be the savior of the team, but apparently he has a lot of speed and energy, left-footed player. And then Kieran Gibbs and adding the experience of Nick Marsman is a very vocal, kind of mature vocal goalkeeper. I think John McCarthy was not the problem of this team. Clearly the problem is they can't score. They've only lost the past 5 games that they've lost have been by 1 goal. So it's not like people are scoring a lot of goals on them, but it seems that Marsman has a leadership, kind of a leadership personality. He likes to talk a lot. He likes to instruct his teammates. And I think that's what they're looking for from him.
Oh, he's proven. That's the difference, Michelle. Whereas, McCarthy still has to establish his name because he's a young guy. This guy, Marsman, is already proven he knows his stuff. So he's coming in like Higuain. He's coming in with credentials. And
these guys have credentials for sure. Right. Kieran Gibbs and Nick Marsman have credentials. They've played in Europe. They've played, Kieran Gibbs has played in the Champions League. He's played in England. He's played on the English national team in World Cups. And, so these are guys who have really good experience and good leadership skills. And, apparently they've added sort of an infusion of energy and professionalism to the squad, confidence. Everything I keep hearing is that the team, it makes sense that the team has kind of lost some confidence when you lose that many games in a row, when you can't score. But Phil Neville said yesterday that the key to the turnaround is going to be deploying lots of men into the box. He said that you cannot score goals when you have 3 or 4 men outside the box. And he is, demanding that Gonzalo, Rodolfo, Robbie Robinson, Lewis Morgan, and Breck Shea, and Indiana, he named all those guys, that they need to get into the box more and they need to shoot more. And, I actually looked up some stats, and their total shots are, in addition to the fact that their 9 goals is the lowest in the whole league, their shots is also lowest in the league. They've taken 100 shots total over 11 games, which 9 shots per 90 minutes also ranks last in the league. So their offense is clearly the big problem. They are literally ranked last in the entire league. So, and that's hard to believe when you consider that they have the highest paid player, on the team was brought in to score goals, Gonzalo Higuain. You have Pizarro, you have Lewis Morgan, now they'll have Robbie Robinson. He's been out for 8 weeks.
But
so it's a team that has weapons, but they've not been able to put the ball in the back of the net.
Well, because they have all the other stuff you need. They don't have a midfielder. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. You just talked about a couple of forwards. You talked about, Morgan is an outside guy, not an inside guy. So that's where the poor construction of this team right now, because that's the sad part. Now that you're getting Robbie back, you're going to be way more active up front. But the sad part is you're going to require Robbie and Higuain to help create for everybody else, where that puts another burden on those guys. So I don't know how they increase scoring outside of not having that midfielder, that offensive-minded midfielder that creates for everybody else. That's the position they're missing. And look, it's nice to add Gibbs, and it's certainly nice to add Marsman, but if they don't have that playmaker in the middle of the pitch, that's the real problem right now, and the real void that I see with this team. And that's why I think they have so few shots, because you've got Higuain worried more about playing midfield than playing forward.
No, he's running back all the time. I mean, half the time Gonzalo, I look on the field and he's almost in the defensive midfield position. Yeah, he's in the midfield. I do wonder, Federico, when he came in at the beginning of the season, and that Philadelphia game, and at the beginning when they brought him in off the bench, and then he started one game, he's the type of midfielder that can create for other people. He sees the open lanes. he's the point guard. I mean, he knows how to pass the ball. He seemed to, I remember Phil saying, he settles everybody down. When he's in there, everyone goes from running 100 miles an hour to, settling down into a cohesive offense, and he can sort of direct traffic and move the ball around and get the ball through tight spaces. I'm not sure why he isn't used more. I mean, I know he's 36 and whatever, but when he came in, the games that he came in, there was an immediate upgrade, and there was an immediate, the offense looked much better when he was in there, and they haven't really used him that much, which I may ask that actually as I'm sitting here thinking about it. I think I'm going to ask that at the next press conference.
Yeah, Michelle, this crap about bringing him in the 85th minute or bringing him in an 88th minute, or the other day when him and Jovan Jones were brought in like in the 75th minute, that's a bunch of crap, dude. This is a guy that should be brought in at halftime or 10 minutes before the half ends. Play that man 45, 60 minutes. And if he can't play at that level for that amount of time, then what do you have him for? Because you nailed it, Michelle. He's the only one that's brought life to the midfielder. And it's crazy because last year they settled on playing on the outside with Morgan, but they go and trade Lee Wynn, which you, me, and everybody else that covers the damn team is going, well, dude, that guy can help you. Why don't you play him more?
Yeah,
and that was
I always liked the way he played. Liked the way he played. And I think, Rodolfo
Grab that phone.
No, I'm not. That's my editor, and you are more important at this moment. I'll call him.
That's
right. Rodolfo Pizarro, I think he was supposed to be the creative midfielder, but he's really he's not really a guy who plays in the middle and distributes the ball. He's looking to score himself. He's more of a dribbler. He dribbles a lot and is exciting. He's like exciting to watch, and he's dynamic. But he's not as much of a creator for other people. At least he hasn't shown it so far. Maybe he could develop that part of his game, but I haven't seen it that much yet. Federico Higuain, of the guys they have, he seems to be the one who can do that the most, and I don't know why. When he came in early in the season, like I said, everyone was raving about him, and Phil was raving, and then all of a sudden he's disappeared from the plan. Yeah. I need to ask about that.
Yeah, I that one I don't get. All right, I guess we'll find out on Saturday, but how sure are they that they've given Robbie enough time to recover? I heard his comments. I read your article. So I know, but I mean, that's that because he's so important right now. They're so poor in midfield that I think Robbie will add a lot and even help out Higuain too, because Robbie's the only guy on this team that can grab the ball and break somebody down in the final third of the pitch. Nobody else has that skill set right now. Higuain's too old at that point to dribble through people and get in there. He needs help to get set up. He reminds me a lot more of Roy Lassiter. That you have to kind of set him up in the final third, and then he'll finish it. But Robbie's the one guy that can weave through traffic and score or set up. How sure are we that he is 100%?
Yeah, well, they seem very sure. I mean, he took off 8 weeks, and according to Phil, they went above and beyond, being super duper duper cautious, taking every precaution. They've built up his legs. They've worked on all the muscles around the hamstring to strengthen the hamstring, to strengthen all the other muscles around it. He claims, and we will see on Saturday, Phil says that the Robbie Robinson we're going to see is almost like seeing a new signing, that it's going to be a new and improved Robbie Robinson, a stronger, fitter Robbie Robinson, also a stronger and fitter Higuain, and a stronger and fitter Pizarro. He claims that those three players, with the time they took off and the amount of time they've been working with them on the gym individually and with individual stuff that they've been working on, that those three players at this point, after this break, are going to be much stronger than they were before the break. So we will see. I mean, if that's true, that would be a very good thing for the team. As we know, like we've said all along, they need offense. They need to start scoring, and I think Marsman is going to be he looks like he's definitely experienced, and he's kind of a take charge. He's kind of a grown up. He has a big, thick beard, and he looks older like the other guys. He has a child. He looks like a grown up. And then Kieran Gibbs, very, very, a thoughtful, really humble, and very eager to sort of start over in a new culture, in a new place. So I kind of enjoyed talking to both of them. I really did. But the real problem on this team has been the lack of scoring. And neither one of those two has much to do with that. So they're going to have to get that from the new and improved Gonzalo, Pizarro, Robbie Robinson, and this Indiana Vasilev. Apparently he's very fast. They keep talking about his pace. So, right now, Lewis Morgan is really the guy who has the most speed on the team. Maybe this guy will also have some speed on the left side.
Well,
so
they need it because they get outrun on the edges every time. They have no speed on the edges at all. And when they run into teams that have speed, they lose that battle every time. Even when they're on offense, their defenders are catching up to the wingers, and they need to find some speed. That's why I wanted if you're going to play with this team, then I want you to bring on Okuna more from the minors, because that kid's a blazer, and I like him. He's a tough little sumbitch too.
He's another one, Ascona. Yeah, he's the other one
right.
Yeah, he came in the first few games, and he was at least on the bench, and he came in, and I liked what I saw too. I mean, I know he's only 17, but he and Federico both stood out to me in the early games, and they've kind of disappeared from the plan recently. I'm not sure why. I need to ask about those very two players. My next conversation with Phil Neville, I promised to ask those two questions, and I'll get back to you on that. Meanwhile, New York is, they have outscored. What did I write down here? They've outscored their opponents 9-2 in their last 5 games at home. So they're pretty good at home. Yeah. So that's going to be, and they're young, by the way. They're also the youngest team. They're the youngest team in MLS. The average age is 23. So they have a lot of energy, which means Gonzalo better, as my mom always says in Spanish, he better put on his patines. He better put on his patines, his roller skates, because this team that they're going to play is young, 23-year-old average age, and they've got energy and they have speed. So Miami is going to have to pick up the pace and play with a lot of energy and get a lot of guys in the box, which is what Phil said, that we should look for committing more men to the box. That was the line. We are going to commit more men to the box, and that people are going to be surprised at the speed of Indiana, and that Gonzalo, Robbie, and Pizarro are all going to be much improved. And we'll see. This is what Phil said. Yeah.
All right. One more thing before I let you go. The great Michelle Kaufman joining us, talking a little Inter-Miami football. Make sure you follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Jovan Jones, out for months now. What the hell happened? How did he suffer that knee injury?
Yeah, he suffered a knee injury in the Orlando game. And I mean, the Trinidad papers are calling it a season-ending injury. Inter-Miami has not gone that far. I asked if he had surgery. Phil said no, that he did not have surgery, but he's in a big knee brace. He's at the very beginning stages of, he's in a knee brace. He's in Trinidad and Tobago visiting family right now. He's coming back on Monday, and then they're going to start with the rehab. Phil said, though, that it is going to be a matter of months rather than a matter of weeks. So it is a serious injury. I guess it did not require surgery, but he's going to be out for a long period of time, which is a shame because he also has looked good to me at moments. I think he's shown a spark, and he's shown some flashes of some of the stuff they need. And he's going to be out of the picture for several months, unfortunately.
That sucks. All right, make sure you follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports and catch her exceptional work, as always, for many years at the Miami Herald. She is Michelle Kaufman. Michelle, thank you as always.
Sure, thanks. Always fun to talk. We'll see what happens tomorrow. They have 3 games over the next 8 days. So they have Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. And, Wednesday they have New England Revolution, the first place team, with Bruce Arena here at
There's a
home,
brutal
and
stretch.
then the
Brutal
follow, and then on Sunday they have Philadelphia at home too, but also an excellent team with an excellent coach. So two really good teams with two really good coaches coming up on Wednesday and Sunday. So this game tomorrow, they just need to start. They need to get a W, period. It's just simple. They need a W.
I'm with you. They need those
Yep.
3 points. I'm
Yep.
with you. Michelle, you're awesome. Thank you as always. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Nice chatting. Bye.
As always. There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman. We love her. Always kind enough to join us here on Le Programme. It's a beautiful thing. If you all want to get in, you can chime in on the YouTube chat board. Remember, smash the hell out of that like button. I need you to smash that like button in a big time way. We thank Michelle Kaufman as always. Appreciate you. And we thank Omar Kelly, and we also thank Manny Navarro. Loaded show today. Let's see. Michelle has a library for an office. Well, she's a writer. She reads. So that's kind of her thing, I would imagine. Nothing wrong with reading and Dave Barry, remember, that's her husband. So both of them are probably reading a lot of books. Nothing wrong with delving into a good book every once in a while. It's a nice way to pass the time. You never know what you end up picking up. By the way, I do have to mention the Richard Sherman situation. And I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday. The video, man, was disturbing, wasn't it? I felt bad for him. I really, because you feel like there's something that snapped, and he lost it, and he's screaming, come through, and all this stuff. And he's been charged with criminal trespass, malicious mischief, resisting arrest, DUI. He was released without bail. I think they're kind of, I got to say, look, I don't know them from Adam, but can I commend the wife a little bit? Because in the most difficult situation for a spouse to be in, she is standing by her man, and she's trying to defend him as much as protecting her family, because she has no choice. But in the process of him, losing it for whatever reason, she's still trying to get him help. She is still trying to get people to understand that this is something that's not normally him. Again, I don't know how much of it is true or not or anything like that, but I will commend her for publicly, while she's trying to, protect everybody in the process, because that's what you got to do. But she's also trying to protect him too, as much as possible. And I found that, where I was like, okay, this, I hope somehow he gets the help he needs so he can kind of get back to having a family. Because remember, this is a man that is about to finish his football career. And this becomes shell shock for a lot of these guys. Although Richard Sherman's a really smart guy that I would figure he could do way, there's a bunch of football players over a year's time that you kind of knew that if they weren't playing football, they were going to say, would you like fries with that? You know what I'm saying? There's some of those guys that they're not very bright, and they don't really have any other skill sets outside of football. And it's shell shock for those kind of guys, because they all of a sudden have to adjust to the real world. And if they didn't make enough money, or they blew the money they had, they got to find a way to create another career. And it's really a challenge for them. I don't think that would be that much of a challenge for Richard Sherman. I think he's smart enough to be able to do all these things, anything that he wants. But where he's at now mentally and emotionally, you want to make sure you get him off that track and get him back to the right place and the right mindset, so he can enjoy the rest of his life. You know what I mean? Because you don't want this to be the rest of his life, where he's constantly fighting, and he's fighting demons and those kind of things. Again, I don't know what's going on with him mentally, physically, emotionally. I don't know, but I am rooting for the Sherman family. I'm rooting, and I was, as a husband that's been married for, almost 30 years now, you appreciate, the person that you live with every single day, and they love you and they fight for you and all of that. And I just want to say that I saw a lot of that out of Ashley, in the last whatever, 36 hours, whatever it's been since this whole thing broke. And any of the audio and the video or the text messages or whatever that we've seen, she's walking that fine line that's got to be incredibly tough for her, that she's got to protect her family, but she's also trying to protect her husband too at the same time. So I just wanted to, say a little bit of that, because that's a tough one, man. Ian from Brooklyn says, wish I didn't just watch the video. Oh, you are right. It's pretty sad. It's painful because you know that this guy, there's a lot more there than just a football player. There's more there than just a Neanderthal that's hitting people. This is a guy that you saw more in him. You know what I mean? And you don't want to see that. And those are the scary moments that you're afraid that football creates in these human beings. That Junior Seau has to shoot himself. That Kansas City linebacker that pulled up to the facility and shot himself in the chest. All these kind of things that have happened over the years with football players, and you just want to erase those memories, and you don't want that to be a part of the game, but it is. And then that's what comes to mind when you see Richard Sherman and you see the video and the violence that he's using to try to get into that house and slamming his body and his shoulder into it. Just tough, man. Tough. Hey, listen, for a lot of other guys, I wouldn't give them the breaks or anything like that. You know what I mean? But from what I've seen from this dude, man, it's a shame. I'm just praying for him and his family. That's all I can tell you. That's the only thing I can say. And I hope somehow or another and they're able to work everything out. What else do we have here to talk about? So Tyson Fury had a positive test for COVID. So the Deontay Wilder fight now has been reset for October 9th. Ken Dorsey gets promoted in Buffalo. And, the former Canes star has had this climb in coaching. And I know he's been mentioned down here in Miami when there have been openings. People have talked about Ken Dorsey. So he got promoted in Buffalo now. He was a QB coach. Now he also got promoted to passing coordinator. And that's interesting because a lot of people feel that this will be Brian Daboll's. It's kind of like what's going on with Rhett Lashley. Like a lot of us kind of feel that Rhett Lashley is done after this year with the University of Miami, that if he has a pretty good year, there's going to be some kind of a small to mid-sized college that's going to be knocking on the door saying, hey, we want to give you a head coaching job. And, we kind of feel that he's going to be gone. Same thing here. They kind of feel that, another good year by Buffalo, Brian Daboll will get that head coaching job that he wants, and maybe that he deserves now that he's kind of worked his way back up to being in this position and being a successful coordinator and obviously developing Josh Allen. So somebody's going to give Daboll a shot at head coaching, which then opens Ken Dorsey up to become the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So a lot of people feel that they gave him the extra job of passing coordinator, and hell, in this league, what's the most important thing, passing or running? It's passing right now because it's a passing league. So this opens up the door for Ken to become an offensive coordinator and take over for Daboll next year if he gets elevated to head coach somewhere. So congratulations to Ken Dorsey. I thought that was a really cool note for him to get that opportunity. Let me see if I got any questions. Oh, by the way, thanks to John Montgomery giving us a little love on Venmo. You remember you can support us through Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Always appreciated immensely. Ramona, by the way, I know you were going back and forth with somebody else there, but I love your passion. Just want to say, sometimes you do come up with some crazy questions, but that's fine. Fans do that at times. But Ramona's passion is freaking awesome. Awesome. Oh, from Troy says, do you think the Finns are still interested in trading for Watson? Tua does this season, but if he sucks, then we can trade for Watson or Rodgers. Troy, I think, okay, this is just me. I think they have no intentions at all for trading for Rodgers or for Watson. But I think they would inquire about Watson, like they probably did initially, but they are inquiring to see if they get a simple deal, a low budget deal, a low hanging fruit deal. Okay. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be lining up against other teams to give up 4 first rounders or 3 first rounders and 2 second rounders and this player and that player. And they're not going to do that. And that's what's going to require to acquire those kind of guys. And so I don't think the Dolphins, after acquiring all of the draft capital they have over the last couple of years and now what they have left, they're not going to just give it all away and give up players and set themselves back also because of what they're going to ask. And then on the Watson side, there's a little bit of bad PR that comes with it too. I don't know where they stand with that right now because I don't know how this whole case is going to get resolved yet. And if it kind of sounds like he paid them off and you're kind of hiding your guilty verdict, I don't know if not just the Dolphins, maybe other teams might say, yeah, we're going to back off here. Yeah, we don't want this. We don't want to deal with this PR. So that's the other thing. But I don't think I don't think they're going to try to make the move at all. They would inquire and then people report, oh, Dolphins are interested. No, they're not. They're just going to inquire to find out, oh, a first rounder in a second. Yeah, we'll give you that. Something stupid. I think they'd go for it. I think they'd get the low-hanging fruit, but that's not going to happen. There's going to be several teams, and they're going to give the world for that guy. Put it this way. What Houston gave up for Tunsil, they're not giving up. They're not doing that. They're not doing the 2 first and the 2 seconds. They cherish their draft picks. They are a front office that feels they can draft. They're a coaching staff that feels they can develop players. They're a group that feels the team is more important when it's all said and done. So I don't think they're going to kill themselves over one individual. Now, if they were a Super Bowl ready team and Tua failed and broke down or whatever, then they would have no choice to make that kind of move. That would be the only way. If those guys are still available by the time you make a decision on Tua, which again, is kind of the unknown. But I don't think that they're going out of their way to make those deals, put it that way. Okay? They're not going to be getting into any kind of a bidding war with somebody for those guys. They're not going to do that. That I do not expect. Okay? Let me see if I have any other questions here that are important. What else do we have here? CBS taps Florida Panthers bright. Yes. Steve Golson. Yes. Yes, we know. Yes, we know. Great job for Goldie to get the listen, nothing wrong with Dick Stockton. Okay. He's a freaking legend. He is a Hall of Famer. He is one of the greats. But it was time. Okay. It's time for all of us. At one point or another, we're going to have to retire. We're not going to be able to do the same job we've done in years past. And, maybe in 10 years, I don't have the vigor and the fire to kind of do this every day with the kind of passion that I do it, that I've done it with since I started in this business 30 years ago. A friend of mine that's been in this business a long time, he told me, I think it was last year, I think it was last year. And he goes to me, you know why? I not only do I love you, but I respect you so much because you still have the energy that I used to have in this business 20 years ago. I don't have it anymore, but somehow or another, you still have it, which I admire because I don't know how you do it. And, that's what keeps me going, man. That's all we could do. So hopefully, at one point or another, they're all going to retire us. I don't want to retire yet. And I appreciate all of you out there for always supporting us. What we are going to do is retire the show for the day. We are absolutely done. We've given you a complete show, a complete week. We'll be back on Monday, ready to rock and roll. Omar Kelly will be with us. I know, obviously, Manny on Tuesday. Matt Verderam is also going to join us on Tuesday. So we'll get the NFL Insider also with us on Tuesday. Got a bunch of other things that we're lining up. And we'll have some big news to add to the show next week. It's coming. It's coming. So appreciate all of you out there. Thank you for smashing the like button, whether you're podcasting or YouTubing. Share the video, subscribe. If you can, support us also on Cash App or Venmo, which is Cash Big O Show. We thank all of you out there. As always, please be safe this weekend. Have a great one, man. You guys are absolutely awesome. I love you all out there. You be good. We'll see you Monday, same time, same place, same bat channel.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.